Hello. Hello. Bonjour. Hola. Ni hao. Konnichiwa. I'm out of hellos. I was trying to test closed captioning, but I'm out of hellos. I got nothing else. My language game is at minimum. But on the bright side, my minimum is also my maximum. So we don't have to go very far for that one. But what's up, gamers? Gamers and Zamers coming in. 39.
39 whole wars.
Whole wars? Where am I going to put all those wars, Tlarn? I don't have a basement. Can't put them into cold storage anywhere. They're going to go bad. Guess we just have to eat all these wars right now. We gotta consume them. Tlarn, thank you for the 39 whole was. It's a lot of was. Only one such character out there can compete with that many was. That's right, we're going to war with Waluigi. Hopefully you're having a good one. Hopefully the week has treated you well. It's great to see you. Great to see anyone who's sneaking in, looking for a cool, chill stream. That's me, doing a bonus stream. I considered playing World of Horror, but I was like, I really don't want to think too hard today. I am so exhausted. I've basically been on for like literally the last 48 hours before today, between the cooking stream, doing some cleanup around the house, waking up early so I can take my partner to work, so I can hang out in the adjacent city for the entire day, so I can go back and pick my partner up so we can go to Friendsgiving, so we do Friendsgiving, and then have to drive back all the way home. It was a long day. It's been a long few days. Yo, what's up, Eskimo? How you doing? Happy Sunday to you. I hope the day has been treating you well in the past week as well. Hope you're doing good. Good to see you. How's my favorite Mode 7? So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not doing Death Bulge today. Furthermore, I know some people would have liked to actually watch the end of Death Bulge, and I didn't want to do it on a bonus Sunday stream and have them accidentally miss it. So I think I'll just do it tomorrow. That won't be much of a problem. It'll be on my normal streaming time. No one will miss it, especially the folks who are really invested into it. So we'll finish that tomorrow. And I think that gives us one more day, one more stream before Bad Game December officially starts. Who knows? Maybe I'll be saucy and I'll just start a day early. I don't know. Or maybe I'll just have an excuse to play more World of Horror. I don't know. You slept all morning. Oh, I wish that were me. I don't know. I just woke up and I was just like, I'm up in my normal 5 a.m. around time, and my body is getting hungrier by the second. Have to use the bathroom. So I gotta get up one way or another. And then by the time I got up, I was like, screw it. I gotta help clean up a little bit around the house before my partner's D&D group comes in today. So on and so forth. Probably move that away. So I ended just kind of staying up, and I'm like, I don't really want to go back to bed now that it's 1 p.m. Your body aches. Are you getting sick? Hopefully not. Rigor mortis, wah, starting to claim me. I don't know if that wah was intentional or not. Considering the subject of the video today, or the first video today. But I hope that Rick and Morty does not claim you. That'd be rather embarrassing. I know for some people it's the funniest thing they've ever seen in their lives. But I don't want it to make you go away. I don't want it to claim you. We claim you here. Alright, I'm just finishing off my Americano I purchased yesterday. That was like my third or fourth coffee of the day yesterday. I was also running on a bunch of caffeine. So that's definitely an effector today. That's definitely on effect today. But all the coffees I had yesterday were absolutely fantastic because I was going through multiple coffee shops. I had like a pear cinnamon latte that was really, really solid. I just got a drip coffee from the coffee shop, and it was good. It was very good black, dark roast. Then I got a Mexican coffee at the restaurant we went to. And I got an Americano along with a, I want to say it was like a maple caramel or something like that latte. I can't remember. But I was getting that for my partner because I was picking her up from work. And I'm like, yeah, she'll probably need something to kind of make it through the night. Yo, what's good, Empress? How you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. It was just I was out all day, and I needed to kill time and places, and the only places that are really available in the morning are coffee shops and restaurants. So I just ended up having a lot of coffee yesterday as well, so that's definitely affecting today, but it was needed. I will say every cup was absolutely needed to basically be up from 5 a.m. and driving back around 10:30 p.m. It was a full day of being out. So it was legitimately required to have coffee throughout the day to keep myself going. For you who don't like coffee, you would think that, but the place that actually made it didn't actually sweeten it all that much. It was extremely roasty. It had like a nice, very nutty flavor into it. I can't remember what it was exactly because I didn't get it for myself. But it was very, very down my alley. 'Cause I don't like my coffees that sweet, honestly. Sweet coffees are only for a treat. Also, what's up, Corn Dan? How you doing as well? I feel like I said hi to Empress. If I didn't, hello, Empress. Good to see you too. How are you doing? Cool people are here. Cool people are always here. That's great. The SimCity 3000 soundtrack is also great. I didn't move it though, so I can move it to my other screen. So you're gonna see things break for a little bit. There we go. Yeah. Now that's the rigor mortis. That always sound like it'd be bitter and give me a headache. I mean, both of these are basically true. If you have too much coffee, your body will adapt and become addicted to it, and then breaking that can give you some pretty massive headaches. If you don't drink much water throughout the day and you only really drink coffee, that can affect you too. It can be bitter, but it can be very sweet. But I don't like my coffee sweet. I actually like my coffees much, much more on the closer to bitter side. So if you can make certain flavors shine without just making it taste like sugar, that's an extremely good skill set because base coffee is extraordinarily bitter. So you gotta know what coffee you want to use, what kind of beans you want to use, what kind of flavors you're trying to mess with to get the results that you want. It's honestly the people who do it really well, the coffee shops that do it very well and make very good flavorful coffees, especially when they make stuff like syrups in-house, honestly need to be respected more. It does not need to be Starbucks at the pinnacle of that. Starbucks is just the most bitter, and to make up for the most bitter, they have to use the most sugar. Got you for a 60-hour day. You spent most of your Thanksgiving playing it. Oh, hell yeah. I assume that means you like it, and you're having a good time so far. I got my new arcade stick in yesterday, and I was going to play today, but I looked at that thing, and I'm just like, oh, I do not have the spoons to do that today. I have no spoons. I am spoonless. Southern hard water. That's my street name. That's what they call me on the ranch. Good old Southern hard water. Back on the bull again. There he goes, wrangling up all them sheep with his sheepdog ranch water. The mistake of the gamer brain emote. No, absolutely not. Design-wise, I like my original stick a lot more as a default. But this new stick actually allows the faceplates to be changed, which has not been a thing since basically Mad Catz started releasing the tournament edition sticks. So I'm super happy to maybe potentially change the art on this one this time. So I gotta actually figure that out. I actually gotta think about it and think of what do I actually want as my art. You need to fix your arcade stick. What's wrong with it? What happened? Corn Dan. Do we need to give your arcade stick some CPR? Well, it's in pieces. So is that a yes? It needs new board. Oh yeah, that's the big one. It's almost at that point you might as well just buy a new stick. It's easy. It's just so much easier to not solder everything. But I know you're more of the actual hands-on, actually likes doing the technical work on the inside things. Yeah, see, yeah, there you go. You're already gonna get a pie to do all the work for you. If you play modern core, get to the point where I don't understand how to use modern controls to full potential, or it limits my tools too much. Yeah, I can't answer that for you. I haven't even touched modern mode. My understanding is you could press a button and hold one button down and press another button to activate certain special moves, so you can use them faster without having to do inputs. But I don't know how it limits your tools or how it works or anything like that. So I wish I had a much more direct knowledge to pass on to you with my years of fighting game experience. But that's just one area I was like, I haven't touched that. I should better know how modern works or limits certain tools, but I don't got it. But I'm sure it'll all come around and it'll be very satisfying when you get there, and always, don't ever be afraid to look up like videos and stuff like that. People, I'm sure, have explained it in depth because people have problems with similar things, and sometimes the best way to answer that is to be like, here's a video for you, and it's nice. It's very, very nice. But I hope you're able to figure it out. I hope it works out for you. Damn, why is this OST so good? If I only had Dubs' cool white boy dancing VTuber to dance this one. He was aiming for the 7 or 8 out of 10 on the whiteness scale. This is the song that he needs to go to complete the last 2 numbers and fully finish off the Triforce. The White Force? I don't know. That's something that Dubs is gonna have to shop, not me. Oh, I mean, Dubs can definitely do great art for sticks, but I have to also think, what do I actually want on my arcade stick, art-wise? I actually it's been so out of my mind for so long, I don't actually know what I want as a stick art. I don't know what I want to go for. Because, like, the ultimate answer might be, I don't even want, like, an actual character or action-based or anything like that. I might just want, like, looking at this right now, I'm like, I could live with the SimCity 3000 logo on my arcade stick, and I'd be very happy. You want a stick art they can't show at Faustings? I would like to be invited back to the event if possible. But also, I'm not participating in anything this Frosty Faustings, I don't believe. So, I'm It's not going to be shown either way. It's not going to be shown. I might not even bring my stick with me. Well, actually, I probably will, because I'll be staying in Chicago for a while. So just in case anyone's just like, hey, let's play some games, I'll be like, cool, I actually have my stick with me, even if I didn't bring it out at the tournament itself. So how do y'all feel about Waluigi? Wow, I'm closed captioning actually got that. I'm kind of floored. Magnetic any art is just a sheet of paper. The ruse is over. There he is. There's Waluigi. There he is. I'm tired of him after hearing Waluigi for Smash for 18 years. Look, Mario was out of characters. He was next. They could have put him in. But they put in Piranha Plant instead. This dude's at least got legs. We don't know anything about him. At least I don't know anything about him. Eskimo, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to find the statistics. I know they exist out there somewhere. Find the statistics of players representing Piranha Plant in Smash tournaments. And get back to me. It's a 23rd blue-haired anime sword guy. Look, they had one idea and they just kept selling it and repackaging it like their name was Apple. Good on them. Blue's a very attractive color for a swords person. What's up, Moore? How you doing? Happy Sunday to you. Look, just keep repackaging it. Just keep shipping it. Make a new Fire Emblem. They're gonna run out of space at some time in Smash Brothers. What if the whole ploy is that they keep putting in Fire Emblem, blue-haired Fire Emblem characters so they can keep avoiding Waluigi. They're like, oh, sorry, the last 2 spots that were open were claimed by Corin and Ike. Can't put Waluigi in. Yeah, outside looking in, for the very, very few Fire Emblems I've played, I feel like there's a lot they could have done besides put in Marth and Marth 0.5, which is Roy, and then Marth Twonk Marth, then just, yeah, Corin, Lucina, yeah, she was her own too, similar to Marth, but she was her own. There's Corin. I feel like I'm missing one more. Oh, Byleth, duh. Byleth, yeah. The blowjob siblings, Byleth. And not a Pokemon, actually. The thing is, I think they think it's a lot funnier to add another swords person to the game. And probably a lot easier than trying to design an entire Pokemon into the game. Honestly, let's be real here. Spite is the best motivator. Smite is also a great motivator. Sprite is a terrible motivator. Do not do things for Sprite. All right. Talon gave us 39 whole Waz. That is not what I said, closed captioning. Why? Now it won't even move. Okay, there it goes. I can't believe Tlarn set me up like this. How dare you? Let's be real. If you put Waluigi into some of them 80s basketball shorts, there ain't much to hide at that point. He's got legs for days. Yo, what's up, next Spike? How you doing? A good time zone to you, Toro. What's going on? How you both doing? Happy time zone to you all. Hopefully the last week has treated you well. Good timing. I was about to start. What about Sprite Cranberry? I had that for the first time yesterday. It's fine. I don't know. It's fine in a way of I can understand why people like it, but I would not ever purchase this for myself. It's understandably fine. If you are a soda drinker and you need a break from the norm, that is a very good break from the norm. But ultimately, I still don't really drink much sodas. I like my ginger beers, and that's kind of it in that realm. Bad pain day. No! But I'm high, and a friend scored me the Persona dancing games I was missing for $25. God damn. Which ones are you missing? But that's a great find. Your friend is awesome. Holy crap, they're looking out for you. That's superb. That's the stuff I like to hear. Supporting friends in the community. Yeah. If Corndan can say Sprite Cranberry is good, Corndan is a man of taste. So we know it's good. We know it's good at that point. I'm just very outside looking in. I only had a sip of it at the Friendsgiving yesterday, where I nodded and I said, I don't like it. But I understand why someone would. How many flavors does Sprite have? I thought it just had lemon lime. Unless they split up the flavors and sold just lemon and just lime Sprite. And then there's the winter cranberry, right? What else is there? Sprite pork rinds. Tropical remix that tastes like Skittles. Interesting. And by that I mean, oh, that sounds awful. I don't really like Skittles. Cranberry ginger ale. Okay, that makes sense. All right. This time for real. I'm not. You all didn't get to see it last stream on Friday, but when I rated, Voice of Dog immediately came in right after I rated. I heard the golfers go off. I'm like, wait, why the golfers going off? That doesn't make any sense. I stopped streaming. Oh no. Voice of Dog rated. It was too late. So Voice of Dog did it with good timing today. Shout out to Voice of Dog. Love that guy. Ugh. Gotta do some cool typing. How are you enjoying your knuckle sandwich? I was with the voice of Doe. The ultimate Homer fan. But good to see ya. Thank you for bringing community in with mine. I'm just having a chill day today. A chill bonus stream. Because I am very tired from basically being entirely on for the past 48 hours. And I just want to watch some cool videos on the internet. So we're going to be watching two videos here. A history of Waluigi, as you could maybe guess. To figure out why is this character so beloved. Which, I mean, I kind of know the answer why. I was around during Brawl in the Family webcomic. Like, one of the last webcomics I ever read. And then we're going to continue our overly long look at Fallout video, where it's 9 hours of retrospective Fallout action, and we're only on Chapter 2, which is Fallout 2. It's not P3 and P5 versions, a little cute art book case. Ooh, and an art book case as well. If there's anything I actually like bonus from Persona games that aren't the actual the bags that they sell usually, and the OSTs, the art, I actually like their art books a lot. So that's a great find. It's not sweet and Sprite, has that tang from the cranberry and works out pretty well. Okay. Good to know, actually. But it's so sugary tasting. Yeah, I'm like, that sounds terrible. I like my sugar, I like my sweet, but I don't like drinking sweet all that much. I think that's the really big thing. I don't enjoy drinking my sweet all that much. I like eating it. I like my solid cakes, pies, whatever, but I do not like drinking my sweet. Somewhere along the way. Yo, what's up, Finfeld? Yeah, somewhere along the way, Waluigi became the people's hero. But then there's people like Eskimo who are out here tired of seeing people ask to put Waluigi in Smash. And then we talked about Smash for like 20 minutes instead. How's it going, Finfeld? Well, we'll see more about the people's hero himself, Waluigi. Waluigi is a guy with a rose. Well, so is Don Flamenco. And no one likes Don Flamenco. I don't think there's any Don Flamenco fans out there. I have never heard someone say, yeah, that's definitely my favorite top 7 boxer from Punch-Out. I have never heard that. And there's like only like 13 of them. Yo, fresh and gluten-free. Oh, that's the best way to have bread in life. How you doing? The voice of Dog Raid. But for real this time. I feel bad for last time. I feel so freaking bad that last time Voice of Dog raided, it was like the moment I almost clicked the button and raided elsewhere. So the raid was missed into my channel. It just came to a dead end. Felt so bad. Yo! What's up, Indestructible Cat? Good to see ya. Excited to see you as well. T-minus about a month and a half now. Hopefully life is treating you good. What's going on, fam? Yeah, Waluigi is a sportsman, not a fighter. He's just a guy who likes sports. He's a dude that is like 6'9" and was trying out for the Chicago Bulls, and they rejected him because of bad sportsmanship or something like that. I don't know. So now he's just the sports guy. He's the Bo Jackson of the Mario world. Did I really just call Waluigi the Bo Jackson of the Mario world? That's why I need to learn how to sleep in, clearly. If I had Don Flamenco Punch Out One Piece every... Wait, is there a Don Flamenco in One Piece as well? Because if so, that's even additionally hilarious. Because that even makes Don Flamenco from Punch Out even more Invisibro than he was before. Lies of P in the background. I am actually watching a lot of that game. I'm like, I don't know why or what it is about this game, but I think it's this very straightforward nature that makes me want to play it a little bit more than most of the Souls-like games. I don't think I will, but I am watching it. I'm like, this is like the most straightforward and plain of all of them, and that's exactly what I want. I don't need a big open world where everything is completely hostile to the player experience. I just want a very straightforward player experience and a challenge just set up in front of me. That's all I really want. This is great. He'd rather make people lose than for him to win. You know what, Eskimo? You're actually right about that. I'm not even gonna lie. You know the S in Sunday stands for Waluigi's Day. I did. What's up, Atesian? How you doing? Yeah, we can do better. We can do better. I'm pretty sure designing for it can come up with a better reference. You know, pretty sure it'll be fine. Has Do Flamenco. One please be normal challenge. It'll never be normal. That's okay. That's okay about it. There's Don Quixote Don Flamenco. They're just throwing names at a dartboard at this time. They're throwing darts at a dartboard. It has names all lined around it that start with Don something, Do something. I'm upset. What's up? What's up, the techie man? How's it going? To the new patch you put out, it really improved the game for you. Oh, well then even better that I'm coming in late in that case. I'm getting the final release. My ass is getting the final release. All right, let me stop the SimCity music real quickly here. It's a great OST. You should listen to it if you haven't before. Let's figure out more about Waluigi. I've been waffling for like literally the last like 30 minutes talking about whatever. I want to learn about this guy. He's going on since the dawn of time. Ronald McDonald is out here causing the heat existence of the universe. What's up, Fizz? What'd you watch before this one? Nothing. We've just literally been talking. Well, by we, I mean I've been forcing my thoughts onto people for the last 35 minutes or so. You have missed nothing, actually. You are right on time. It's been a 30-minute waiting lobby to watch Waluigi. So let's find out. Let's find out what this guy's all about.
Waluigi, yeah.
There he is. It's Donald Flamenco from One Piece.
That you either really enjoyed that combination of weird banjo music and goofy cartoon caricatures.
Yo, what's up, Kefka?
Or you've
You
already
do it
clicked
perfect
off the
timing.
video.
You're lousy.
To say that
Yeah,
Waluigi has
Eskimo,
had
you're
a
lousy.
tumultuous history as a character would be accurate, with no hyperbole needed.
Yo,
actually.
Heretic Soul as well.
Slender
The walls
Wario
bring
brother
all the wall likers to the
has
yard.
spent all of the 20-some years of his
Damn, and
existence
Jabberwock as
showing
well.
up in every single tennis match,
How
golf
you all
tournament,
doing?
kart race, Olympic game, death party, and whatever other odd event Mario hosts that his weird little genie shoes can carry him to. But always just as an option. One small part of a much larger cast. And yet, these days you'd be hard-pressed to not see him as one of Mario's most major players. In spite
And let me know if
of
the
his
volume's
role
good, of
not
course.
changing at all. Waluigi has one of the most passionate and vocal fan bases of any character in the entire Mario franchise. And while many would attribute that to being a funny meme character, or that it's ironic
Atlantic
enjoyment,
store and or gas station
I don't
chases.
find that the case.
I have no idea.
Waluigi has
I'm not a
grown
big
from a
visitor
character
of,
who
ooh, I want to go
no
to
one
this
who made up the
convenience
gaming
store.
zeitgeist at the time of his debut
I'm too
cared
grocery
for,
brained.
into a personality that people
slightly can do.
genuinely enjoy. And I think the story behind that, as we move further and further away from the time opinion on the Purple Plumber began to shift.
There we go.
to be
One whole
important
decibel
to tell.
down.
Waluigi may be a pathetic sap of a character, but he's our pathetic sap of a character. And we'll appreciate him
auto-captions
no
diss
matter
on
how much of a
Waluigi.
failure he is.
He's
Look
trying
at
so
my
hard.
dance. I'm a sing. I'm so happy.
Wow, wow, god damn it. God damn it, Coach. Well played. Also, what's up, Alzarab? How you doing? Nice monocle. Looking Slayer out here. You're slaying as a Slayer out
Waluigi's
here.
origins are as
Love that.
humble as they are pitifully convenient. When making Mario Tennis for the Nintendo 64, developers Camelot were having a lot of fun with the roster. In order to create doubles partners that fit the personalities of major Mario characters,
Awesome.
and
Thank you,
pulling
Artesian.
characters with relatively human body types that could be animated for tennis, they began digging back deep through Mario's history, reviving Daisy from Super Mario Land to partner
Yeah,
up
that
with
was a great
Princess
choice.
Peach. Birdo from Super Mario USA to give Yoshi a fellow dinosaur-like creature to play with.
Wawa in the streets,
Paratroopa
Waluigi in the
because
sheets.
they had that tilty Bowser stage and wanted someone who could float like Boo and ignore the gimmicks, so... Paratroopa! But when thinking of a doubles partner for spin-off mainstay
That is
Wario,
fair.
Camelot was a bit stumped. While they had created some oddball pairings out of necessity, like Donkey Kong's partner being Toad, no one really
They're totally
fit well as a
besties.
compliment to Wario's stout power in gameplay, character design,
Yeah, you know,
and
your favorite character,
characterization.
Berto.
However, Camelot were no stranger to creating new characters for the Mario series, having made such luminaries as Plum, Sunny, and Elf. So they pitched an idea to Nintendo. Take the Japanese
ID.
word for bad or inferior, warui, and combine it with Luigi, a Waluigi. Yes, his name is a pun. He was literally a joke on conception. Nintendo responded, sure, but we don't want to do it. You go ahead. So,
We don't
catalog
claim
graphic
Waluigi,
designer
they said.
Fumihide Aoki quickly created a character who would properly complement Wario. Taking cues from the
Yeah.
other
When stuff got
man's
too serious on the
Dorumbo gang,
the
if
course,
Wario was
you know,
the
they
bulky,
took it to the
strong
afterlife
man,
afterward.
Tonzura. His partner would have to be the limber and crafty Boyaki to match.
Yeah, makes
A
sense.
sinister, lanky
I
fellow
would know these characters
who'd be
from,
able to
Tatsunoko
reach for
versus
balls
Capcom,
that
though.
Mario couldn't, setting up the greedy treasure hunter to use his raw power to its fullest potential. And in the year 2000, the world at large was introduced to Waluigi.
You know, I never reused Waluigi in this game. I didn't know his eyes glue like that when he won a hole. Oh, but speaking of cool sports people, yo, what's up, Susie? How was Tetris 2?
It's a bit of a stretch.
Good to see
but
all of you. Thank you for
wouldn't
communicating with
figure that much
mine.
looking
We're
at
talking
his
about
reception.
Waluigi today.
If you weren't a Waluigi
welcome.
hater insecurely declaring him as Nintendo's second biggest mistake behind Tingle, you were generally indifferent to the guy's existence. And honestly, his initial portrayal
These guys
has a
are
lot
mom
to do
voice.
with it.
That's me.
Nintendo
I'm that
Power
guy.
decided to introduce the mean
Couple
cheating
photos
machine
aside,
to
using enough brain
gamers
power for today.
by claiming
Yeah,
that
Banjo
you could
ate
go
a lot
to
of it. I understand.
Waluigi.com to play his hit game,
Welcome, though.
Waluigi's
Also, yo.
Toenail Clipping Party.
Thank you
Where
for the.
he's so
oh God, I didn't
bad,
realize that.
he
Thank you for the follow.
steals
Greatly
Luigi's
appreciate it.
underwear
Follows here are
and
always
sells
anonymous. If you
them
want to hit that
on
follow button, lurk
eBay.
away. Feel free. We're
In
just
a
chilling
culture
today.
of video
Thank you so
games
much.
trying to take
Glad to
themselves
have you here.
seriously, that kind of gross out weirdness wasn't endearing him to many.
I did not
But more
realize that he was a toenail
Waluigi
clipper.
was criticized
keeper.
as a waste of space, a useless and lazy character who didn't need to exist, an annoying freak with a scratchy voice.
Experimentally confirmed.
They
They made him in a lab.
A tenuous and insecure point, since Waluigi is holding up, Mouser from appearing in spin-offs? But insofar
That
as
is messed up.
Waluigi
We don't
being a
get
character
Mouser
without
anywhere.
Substance, a small point nonetheless. Waluigi was made to be an exaggeration of and rival to Luigi. But at the time of Mario Tennis's release, Luigi wasn't really much of a character himself. There were some small differences in gameplay, like his floatier jump and his reduced traction in Lost levels, or his dash attack in Super Smash Bros., making him seem inherently more clumsy than his brother. But in a pre-Luigi's Mansion world, actual
That is a
bits
good
of
point. Yeah,
characterization
Luigi wasn't a really character
for
at that point,
Luigi
was
were
he?
left to anime, TV shows, and comics, and hardly consistent between them. The cowardly, quiet, but ultimately brave little guy we've all come to know and love was relegated to appearances where he leads a parade? Likes machines, I guess?
Damn, as they say.
Isn't even in the game? Paper Mario would throw him a bone with
Okay,
some
that's a
quiet
good line to
envy of
throw
his
into
brother.
there.
But Mario Tennis would come out before Paper Mario in every region. Luigi wasn't a sidekick to Mario growing from his hero's example, or a contrast to his brother's traits to highlight both of their strengths. Not yet, at least. Right now, he was just Mario's brother.
He's just a guy.
He's just Luigi.
I lost.
Waluigi had to be the bad, evil form of nothing.
Luigi
So,
Mario.
there was
Love that
Waluigi,
guy.
with all the character traits of weird death glare when he gets a point in tennis, doesn't intimidate Luigi,
You're not afraid.
and plays tennis in a tennis game. Functional, but not well
Just likes
received
tennis.
by the
He's a
gaming
tennis
press,
liker.
and not even made by Nintendo themselves. He could have been forgotten about as a weird novelty and put on the shelf with the Broodals, Koopa Kids, and Carltons of the
Yep.
world. But whether it be through pure luck or sheer stubbornness, Waluigi found himself in the perfect
Why they put
opportunity
Colin's
to
face
stick
over that?
around. Mario Party 3, released just a few months after Mario Tennis and developed from start to finish in less than a year, looked to add more playable characters to MP2's roster of 6. And hey, who's humanoid enough to
It's
work
his
in
offering
every
enough
minigame without issue?
When it costed a $1 per
Not only
page to
that,
print,
but
they
Mario
couldn't waste their
Party
pages
3
on that.
Introduced a single-player story mode.
He got
where
off easy.
One character would have to prove themselves to the Millennium Star.
They wanted
by
to really hand the
defeating
guy to have to
other
do it in like
characters
2
who
pages or
embody
less,
traits
otherwise
like
the magazine's paying for
courage,
it.
and strength.
Yeah,
However,
apparently, I'm actually
Luigi
surprised
was
myself.
left
It did
without
not
a
feel like
trait
it was
to
that
embody,
fast.
simply taking the place of whoever the player chose as a filler challenger, so that Wario wouldn't have to fight Wario on who was wittier or whatever. And kind of inadvertently addressing Luigi's characterization woes. He wasn't strong enough as a character at this point to define any sort of positive aspect, but he could try for all of them and prove himself a real hero.
I'm a got it.
And in the face of Luigi being the main protagonist, who should be the final major roadblock but Waluigi, crashing the party to steal the Mischief Star stamp and challenging the player to beat him on his own Death Trap Island. And the best part is, this place used to be Luigi's home. But Waluigi was petty enough to hire Piranha Plant construction workers to blow up Luigi's house and steal
What's
his
up,
land.
Radita? How you doing?
You're evicted!
This did leagues in setting up Waluigi's character, and almost incidentally made him a mainstay of the Mario Party series. He worked really well in this game, why take him out? And since Waluigi did such a good job rivaling Luigi in one game, might as well toss him another. Luigi serves as the
I'm
playable
actually a little bit
character
surprised
in
in
Game &
everywhere
Watch
that
Gallery
Waluigi is
4's
included into.
boxing
Because I kind of
revamp.
forgot he was in Mario
So
Party
of
3.
course, Waluigi
I had
just
just
makes
assumed,
sense
I
to
guess, Mario
slot
Golf
in
was
as Luigi's
next.
final and
And I'm like,
ultimate
now I'm
rival
second guessing
there.
myself. I don't know if he was even
Those
in
are
Mario
small
Golf.
potatoes. A late N64 party game,
Game &
and
Watch
some
Gallery
Game
mention.
& Watch remakes. It's
Give
not
it up for
like he's
Game &
gonna
Watch
jump
Gallery.
the line and get into Mario Kart before Magic Koopa again.
This, yeah, this is like the other big one. I actually kind of
The next Mario Kart
mistakenly
game
thought this was his
focused
first game, but I guess
themed
yeah,
pairs of racers.
wouldn't make any sense 'cause,
and
yeah, Tennis was
Wario
first.
just so happened to need a doubles partner for it. Again.
I could probably
At
tell the
this
first
point, it
4
was plain
apart. From there on, it
convenient
really
to
gets
toss
meshed up for
Waluigi
me
into
until you
various
get like the
Mario
recent ones.
spin-offs. He was human-shaped. They made his GameCube model early for Mario Party 4, so little work had to be done putting him in new games.
Fair.
And there is no third thing to end this sentence. Waluigi is just easy to put in. And as Waluigi appeared more and more, everyone who found him a waste of space hated him more and more.
Come on!
What? They were gonna play through a boring single-player mode of Mario Party to get Waluigi character development? All that was seen here was an annoying
That's definitely one of the more
character
recent
latching
ones.
onto the
I
Mario
can't remember the
series like
names
a
of them now.
parasite,
I think it was
refusing
like
to die
10.
and
It was like the
whining
Switch
his way
one,
into
right?
title after title. Waluigi cemented himself as a Mario regular.
I do have to say,
but
I
as far as
appreciate
journalists and bitter fans
this
on the internet
guy
were concerned,
getting
he
a bunch
was
of
stain
footage of
on the
Waluigi
series that
losing.
They just couldn't scrub
Wii
out.
U? Oh, was it Wii U? That was the one, the Party
But
Bus
one
one?
place that Waluigi
Oh,
was
shit.
never doubted was in the hands of Camelot. They loved their baby boy and wanted to flesh out his character more and more as games progressed. GameCube titles like Mario Golf Toadstool Tour and Mario Power Tennis would feature incredibly lengthy intro cinematics showing Wario and
What's up, Coco? How you
Waluigi trying
doing?
to bully and cheat their
Posting
way
the
into whatever
clip.
sport they were
What is it?
tackling
What is
to
the
absolutely
clip?
pathetic results. The two
It's-
tapped into their comedy duo origins, always encouraging and egging each other
Oh,
on in
right.
their
Oh my
stupid
God, I have not seen that in
exploits
forever,
before
Artesian.
failing at pretty much everything they put their minds to. Charles
I am
Martinet,
very
voice actor at the
tired,
time
but
for all
I'm
4 major
enjoying
plumbers in the Mario
watching
series,
cool
would
videos
begin
on YouTube.
fleshing out his vocal interpretation of
Fucking
Waluigi in these
Waluigi.
games, viewing the character through a lens of incredible self-pity, seeing himself as the one failure in a world where everything goes right for everyone else.
Ah, everybody cheating.
All of Waluigi's super moves involve him twisting his body into
cheated.
various shapes or swimming through the air, breaking physics to accentuate
Is Wario
his
Waluigi?
lanky
I'd agree.
form.
I could agree with that.
Everything that was thrown at Waluigi
I could
made
actually
him into
get behind
more
that,
and more
honestly.
of a comedy character.
Switch swapped
And
over
it
to Super
helped
Mario
him
Party and
complete what he'd been
Oh,
missing
okay, gotcha.
since the beginning.
God damn it.
His contrast to Luigi. The man in green had embraced his
Right,
Luigi's
yeah, okay,
Mansion
gotcha,
personality
gotcha.
by this point, feeling a bit out of his league at times, but carrying a quiet confidence that, when push came to shove, let him
This shot
achieve
goes hard.
great
That
things
cutscene
that
goes
he
fucking
didn't
hard.
find himself capable of.
Good job, Luigi.
While Luigi, then, was the opposite. A Luigi who boasted his false confidence to anyone who would listen, who would gladly cheat to win against superior competition, and whenever the pressure was on, would always crumble. Waluigi is what
Stop getting all this footage of Waluigi
fears that
failing.
he could look like. And he's actually pretty great at being that kind of loser.
You might be getting
Ouch,
better, but
God damn it.
nobody cheats better than Waluigi. You got that?
See, like, yeah.
Different developers
Martinet
would
puts
continue
like
to
that sort of
contribute
energy into like these
Waluigi's
gremlin
weird
characters. It's like the
combined
last
identity.
part that's like you're
Mario
not trying to play a hero
Superstar
anymore. You just get to
Baseball
go
shows
ham
Waluigi's
with the character.
failures
So that's why
through
Waluigi
gameplay.
and Wario
The
are
lanky
really,
loser
really good for
possessing
that.
the incredibly coveted laser beam ability that lets him launch the ball to home plate to prevent runners from scoring points. However, his throwing arm is naturally so weak that his laser is slower than several characters' regular throws,
Nuh.
making the feeling of choking under pressure a part of his regular gameplay. On top of that,
Why did you have to
Waluigi is
kill
the
Luigi,
only
though?
character in Superstar Baseball whose charge swing causes him to lose power, something that even the instruction manual points out, making him the absolute worst character in the game at feeling the glory of a home run. The harder he tries, the less likely Waluigi is to succeed.
No, no, no.
Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix features Waluigi as the primary
did not realize he was that weak in the
antagonist,
game. Holy
stealing
shit.
the music keys to hypnotize the masses with his gyrating thighs. And then getting beaten at the end of the first world, never to be seen again. Mario Party 8
Purple
would give
Luigi.
Waluigi a rose,
It
playing
is-
off of a
it is the
more
one, the only,
gentleman
the
thief kind of
rose
air
carrying
that's way
Purple
too good for
Luigi.
him. And Mario Strikers
Oh my God,
Charged
that-
would
that image is
evolve
really
that
good.
concept into
What's up,
giving
Grums? How you
Waluigi
doing?
command of thorns, forming walls and lashing out at goalies with a spiked whip. The Striker games would also give us
Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Waluigi telling everyone who had a problem with him, in-universe and out, where they can stick it. But then this taunt got so popular that Waluigi will tease it in the sequel, going, you're not ready for the Waluigi pop-off yet. More air floating,
God, that's actually really
more
good.
cheating,
I have never
more
played those
cameos,
games.
Giant robot pinball Waluigi.
Or the second one, rather.
All of these different hands, all of these different teams.
Either he'll get his own
coming
game or he'll
together
make it
to
into Smash
expand
Brothers.
upon what defined Waluigi, what makes him tick, why he mattered. And while grumbling online would continue, a whole generation was growing up with Waluigi. To them, he was a funny failure who could always be counted on for a good laugh. But for those who were still complaining about Waluigi's obnoxious omnipresence, something was about to come to change the way that Waluigi was viewed online forever.
Yeah, Brawl in the Family. And once again, like one of the last webcomics I pretty much ever read. These bad people like it, but when I
Family
do it, I
was a
get dragged off
Nintendo-themed
stage.
webcomic
It's
that
bullshit,
ran
right?
From May
That
2008
shit sucks,
to
it's easy.
October 2014. As we're
Also, what's
more
up,
than a
Egrets? How
decade
you
removed
doing?
From the heyday of webcomics, social media having eaten up most people's desire to head to dedicated sites for content. Let me say that
Imagine me telling
webcomics
Waluigi's taco
were
stand?
big
What?
up through the early 2010s.
Tell me
You
more.
couldn't wade your way through a message board without someone saying that they like swords or cast the spells that makes the peoples fall down. Lost became a meme
I had a shirt that
entirely
said
because
that.
of how poorly
I don't hate to
received
admit it,
the
but-
original Control-Alt-Delete comic was, and both
I had a
the
shirt that said
Child's
that.
Play charity and PAX were founded through the monumental success of Penny Arcade.
Yeah, All in the
It's
Family.
even in the name and
And the
everything.
Waluigi April Fool's Day
These were
days
parts
and
of
weeks
gaming
in
culture
some cases.
that transcended and bridged individual communities. They're a real big deal to a degree that I
You
can't
want to read Waluigi's taco
possibly
stand?
convey.
Probably.
So you know what? I asked a
I'm
professional.
kind of crazy.
Hello and wah! This is Matthew Toronto, creator of Brawl in the Family,
Oh, wow.
and I have a sin to confess. That being that I'm the creator of Brawl in the Family, and I think I am at least partially responsible for the Waluigi mania that has gone on over the past several years. I was actually a pretty active member of the Nintendo general message board community. I'd posted.
Also wasn't
online
much as that.
on
How
the
you doing?
IGN
So I got taken
boards,
aback
and
by
back in 2000.
actually getting
I
the artist
remember
on.
Camelot had put up the Mario Tennis website and had introduced Waluigi as a new character for the Mario universe. You know, everyone was kind of like, well, you know, some people thought, okay, that's kind of cool, new character. It's, you know, he looks kind of this snidely Whiplash type or Dick Dastardly from like the old cartoons. And other people were thinking, yeah, this is kind of too much. You know, we already have Mario, we already have Luigi, Wario. Why do we need a Waluigi? Luigi at the time was this underdog character. So why was there a character that was described as jealous of Luigi's fame?
Yeah,
It
I do remember that actually,
it didn't make
Susie.
sense to a lot of people. Waluigi was
Okay,
kind of
here's
more
my
like,
note.
okay,
Will
I
you
guess
bring
you know,
100
he's
chapters
there.
of
No
a
one was really
behemoth of a-
clamoring to
What?
have him in Smash Brothers or anything.
On April 1st,
Oh
2009,
my God. I did
for
not
the
know that was a
site's
thing, Kefka.
151st strip, creator Matthew Toronto allowed his comic to be taken over by Waluigi.
Oh, yeah.
Every hour, a new quick gag would be posted by
so your first
Waluigi
rehearsal scene, I
himself
got you. Ooh.
in an overly gangly,
Age is catching up. I feel you on that.
excessively toothy, and undoubtedly amusing form. And they were odd.
I made a really strange looking Waluigi drawing one day. You know, my friend Chris, who helped me run the site, he was flipping through it and he thought it was really funny looking. So I thought, oh, that'd be fun to do like an April Fool's thing with this really ugly looking Waluigi. Like, people would get onto the site, they'd just see a drawing of that Waluigi and it said,
Expecting a comic? Too bad, Waluigi time.
it kind of set the personality of the character in our
He was
minds.
like Mario
Like,
Peach, Daisy, and
he just doesn't
Waluigi.
care. And when April Fool's Day came around, I just started making up a bunch of comics on the spot, just kind of like improvising them. And half of them didn't really have punchlines. You know, it was just Waluigi invading the comic, kind of making a mess of things with his weird personality. He wasn't even like a joke character at this point. You know, he wasn't like the obvious joke character. He was just kind of weird, kind of unpopular, and it just seemed like a fun way to use a character that hadn't been used that much yet.
Waluigi in the Family was a widespread success.
Okay, it is kinda
The
neat that
character
it
becoming
is
a recurring
actually
staple of
around the
comic.
webcomic itself.
More April Fool's Days would pass. Waluigi always finding a way to appear. More individual comics starring the oddball. Full song parodies from Waluigi himself, and even extending
Yeah, the dude
after
actually
the
even like
comics
sang
end.
his own webcomics
With
too.
this design,
Which is
with this
insane.
voice, with this catchphrase,
Too bad, Waluigi
Flatulence
time.
apparently. Wait, what?
Waluigi
I'm
had
actually, I'm
something
scared to ask. I
rally
don't know if I want to
behind.
know.
Something that fans
The
of him
Christmas song
could
is still actually in my
easily
head a
share
little bit,
around.
Tard. It's
Something that
so
he
so
could
entertaining.
gain new fans from, because clearly this was making fun of him and not actually appreciating him. This was the impetus for Waluigi to emerge as the dominant meme, where him being annoying to all those who still had it out for
The
him.
video game being
was
the, rhythm
point.
game?
You want to talk about anything but Waluigi?
Or
No,
Waluigi's
man.
taco
Waluigi
stand.
time.
It's always pretty surreal seeing like
Too bad, Waluigi time.
and the long wah like stuff. Yeah, I'm probably partly to blame for that. In fact, Nintendo actually did a Valentine's thing recently.
Yeah, don't
where
you
they
wanna
posted
be the
on Twitter,
dominant
these
meme?
various Nintendo-themed Valentines.
There's so much potential,
And Waluigi's was
Venfell. You
just
could be the dominant
It was
meme.
something like roses are red, violets are blue, and then it just kind of had the wah just go off the side. And I thought, okay, that's pretty on point with where this character has gone.
Waluigi is like the
Comic
people's
number
hero.
0000035
But thanks to, you know,
of
actually
the
Waluigi getting a
series
character.
was titled "Happy Birthday, Waluigi."
So that mean
In this
Waluigi is your
comic,
dominant
we're
meme.
presented with an empty house. Deep purple lines, heavily shaded, depicting a birthday party with no
And
guests.
yet, not the first time that memes are mentioned
A
in
clock on the
Metal
wall,
Gear.
ticking away hours into the night. Waluigi is at home, sitting alone, wrapped in darkness. His dour mood obscuring his eyes or any expression.
Christmas
except
shoes. I have
pure
no idea what Christmas shoes
disappointment.
are or is. I should
Before an
say.
answering machine calls out, bringing color back to his world. It's from Daisy, the one friend he has that tolerates him. Apologizing that she can't make it to his birthday, but she hopes that everyone is having a good time at the party. And as the phone hangs up, the color drains out of Waluigi's world again, and he continues to sit, crying
Big Chungus.
at his pitiful state.
have not. I'm not going through my head here. I don't think I
sincerely
have. That doesn't
being
sound
around
familiar.
Any one person. This comic, above all others, plays with how Waluigi has grown. We might laugh at Waluigi's antics, dismiss him out
it's
of
like
hand
it's
as a
one
weird
it's,
waste
it's
of
one hell of a
space,
webcomic
but
moment. It's
whether
like,
we
oh,
laugh
I actually
with,
like this
at,
character
or
now.
in spite of him, we are laughing. At some point, even if something is a meme, it becomes a part of everyone repeating it, and that appreciation becomes sincere. To this day, Toronto is still releasing parody covers of Waluigi songs, some of them reaching into the millions of views. Many viewers nostalgic for the days of Brawl in the Family, where Waluigi was this fun meme to shove everywhere. The kids who grew up with this massive failure started to appreciate Martinet's performance.
To make sure I don't
Camelot's
lose it, could you
portrayal,
add to the exclamation
Namco
point
and Square
cool
and
list
Sega
and just put it into that
Hudson and Next
Excel
Level
sheet
Games,
so that I have it
continuing
for
to
later?
expand upon his character. There was even outcry and disappointment that Waluigi wasn't included in Mario Kart 7. To date, the only major spin-off outing the
He
guys
wasn't in
missed
7?
since what, Mario Kart Arcade GP in 2005? With time, most of the hatred for Waluigi shifted into appreciation.
Sorry, exclamation. I
At
can
first
probably type it in,
mimetic,
honestly. There we
but
go.
steadily changing into a genuine admiration for the character. People love sad sacks who nothing goes right for, and fan projects, fan videos, fan support celebrating what the Eternal Nobody stood for came out in droves.
It's kind of similar to.
Where's Honey
back
Queen
in,
from? I don't even
like the
actually
GameCube
know
era. Luigi
what
had a lot of
Honey
fans.
Queen
he
is
was kind of
from.
the underdog, and
Don't think she was
he
in
wasn't in Mario 64, and he wasn't in these other
Galaxy?
games. He was sort of like the dark horse
I'm
character.
playing a lot more
Oh,
Mario
oh,
as of late, and I
Luigi.
cannot think of where
And
she's
now, Luigi, had his whole year of Luigi. He's been showing up in most of the Mario games as a
Galaxy?
playable
Oh,
character.
okay. Man, I
And
just don't
now
remember.
Waluigi is
It has
kind
been
of
a while
like-
since I've touched
he's got that
Galaxy.
original Luigi underdog status.
In one level, maybe
but with this
two?
grimy
Wow.
layer of weirdness on top. I think Waluigi's got plenty of personality and a lot of untapped potential for being in games.
For years, Waluigi has been an incredibly requested character to join the fight in Super Smash Bros. And though Masahiro Sakurai was reported to say that Waluigi was withheld because the love for the character was, quote, insincere, that ain't true. Not just because Sakurai never actually said that and people on the internet make things up and take jokes way too seriously, but because there is a sincerity to Waluigi's fan base. It's just one that happens to be best shown through memes,
Same color,
exaggeration,
same
and
level, different
overacting.
colors. Oh my
All
god.
things that Waluigi
Now
himself
that's the
would
Smash
approve of.
special right there, baby. Now they're actually pretty good about making different characters, even if they are
We're
very
approaching
similar.
25 years since Waluigi debuted. To
It's been
date,
that long.
he hasn't appeared in a single mainline Super Mario game or RPG. Costume cameos in Mario Odyssey and Paper Mario TTYD, and an appearance by Waluigi in Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle being the closest the guy's ever got. In that sense, Waluigi could be considered just as useless as his detractors said, an eternal bench warmer destined for failure. But a genuine fan base has emerged for this loser, from legions of people who didn't see him with hateful eyes on his debut, with developers who gave him a chance.
Yeah, the moment that we make a fan game about Waluigi, though, you know Nintendo's gonna acknowledge him then.
Bits of character to let him shine.
And then they sue your
From
ass
fans
for
who
it.
grew up with him, fans who turned him into memes, and then fans of those memes, where ironic appreciation turned into actual care and affection.
Turn around and
And
Tingle?
while that
I don't
might be
think so.
obvious,
I think they
that's
don't
really
hate
important.
Tingle as much
I
anymore,
always
but
liked
I don't think
Waluigi.
anyone's
My
gunning for
go-to on the
Tingle.
rare
I think he's still kind of
occasions
on
where
his
I wanted to dabble
own.
with someone who wasn't Donkey Kong.
Good
But, you know,
choice.
tell me if
When I
I'm
got
wrong.
online to talk about him, that character felt universally
We wish
hated.
could kill, but
The internet was a lot smaller. Opinions were a lot more cleanly drawn in the sand.
fuck is this list?
And it was just kind of a fact that Waluigi was a bad character. Yet the
Does
more
Japan
I
love
dug to
Tingle?
find
I
examples
didn't know
of
that part,
for
though.
this
I actually did
video,
not know that.
I realized how hard it was to actually source examples of people hating him.
Waluigi number 1.
What was once a fact had eroded rapidly into a few scant preserved
Also, what's up,
articles,
Toast? How you
while
doing?
this
But with
new
me on the
generation
mic
shouting,
instead of
"Too
being in the
bad,
same chat.
Waluigi time!" And wanting him in
Look at that
Smash
Tingle
and
costume. Okay,
saying
that
how
rules, though.
good he looks in his little golf suit and being hyped whenever he pulls out a rose was in much fuller force. And that isn't something that just extends to the funny purple disappointment.
He's
There
stylish,
are a lot
all
of
things
things
considered.
that have gone
He's pretty
around
stylish.
as universally hated. From the
I don't know if the several spin-offs
GameCube to
was
Pokemon,
people like Tingle
dubs
or
of
Nintendo just
anime
needed
to
a quick
almost
turnaround
any 3D
thing.
Sonic game, John Cena to Cyberpunk 2077. I'm sure there are a lot more examples from stuff
also,
I
what's
don't
up, Sandogs?
directly look at.
Thank you for streaming
eventually,
earlier this morning. I didn't really get to say anything because I
will
was
come around to
cleaning
being
and cooking.
appreciated
But I
and
appreciate it.
celebrated by those who experienced it with a less
So you
cynical
dedicate
outlook.
teen games? I mean, why does
And
Bubsy
as
have
long as the
4
work doesn't
dedicated
hurt
Bubs
anybody,
games or
I
5
think that's a
dedicated
good
Bubs
thing.
games?
Waluigi feels like the poster child of this to me. A character
I don't
built
want to
on
assume
less
Bubsy is
than
loved.
nothing, hated for being
But maybe
nothing,
I'm
the butt of a
wrong. Who
joke
knows?
that no one wanted to tell on arrival, turning into a character built up by those who
This
wanted to
creator
care
sins
about him
as their
until he
family
became
under
so
gunpoint.
omnipresent that the
Make me
idea
another
of removing
game.
him became laughable. Waluigi's
Yo, what's up, Surf Wizard? How you
popularity is
doing?
a culmination
Oh,
of
shit,
effort
that's
in
Cat.
spite of adversity, of different teams and fans adding what made
What's
the
up,
character
Cat? How you doing?
a character.
I can't believe
over
it.
the
It's
years.
Flannel Cat all over
And
again.
proof that even
For the second
most
time in the last
worthless,
24 hours.
pathetic, easily dismissed creations can become things
You're not falling
worth
like a Flannel Cat.
truly
You should be, though.
treasuring. In time,
You should be.
fans of these
fuck
creative
it up,
works, of
Flannel Cat.
underdogs, of
She's great.
Waluigi,
She hosted
will come
yesterday's
together to
Thanksgiving.
show the world
I ate a lot.
how to
It was
design
wonderful.
for appreciation.
I'm a living legend.
Thank you again so much to Matthew Toronto
off
for
in
his
here.
help and insight. What you working on?
I don't think
So
Off
if
would
you'd like
fight
to
that
see more of
hard,
my stuff,
honestly.
I did a book about Nintendo history with Howard
Oh.
Phillips. It's called Game Master Classified.
Really?
I did
Oh,
a
shit.
music adventure game on the Switch called Tadpole
Yeah.
Trouble Encore.
Okay, I do
and
remember
I'm currently
Tadpole.
doing
I couldn't remember the
music
name of it, but
and
yeah,
original
I do know it
songs about
existed.
Nintendo games. It's called Bit Musical.
I didn't know he
You
made
can find it
the
on
that
Patreon
book.
or
That's
on
great,
YouTube.
actually.
Every
Holy
now
shit.
and then I still sing a cover of a beloved song in the Waluigi voice.
Waluigi time.
Waluigi time.
Oh, yeah.
I know you let me down. You cheated me in my prime. I thought that I was loved by no one else. But now, through all
Beautiful.
the hurt
Excellent.
and pain, it's high time that
I kind of had like a rough idea of when Waluigi started coming around, but I guess I didn't really pay attention to the history. I feel like it wasn't until Brawl in the Family, for me at least, that made me realize that, oh right, Waluigi is a character who really hasn't done anything except sports and games. He's a sports and games guy, but he's never been the hero in any way, shape, or form. I should say the hero. The guy who does anything, basically. But they acknowledge he exists, which is kind of, This is an extreme Double Dragon Neon credits energy. That is such a good credits song. James is hugely indifferent on Waluigi. They're gonna make Mario play. They stay that way. I don't want it to though. I want him to be able to do something. I want him to use his long legs to step up some stairs. Where Mario has to do the backwards long jump, I want him to just walk up the stairs angrily. Yo, what's up, Petty? How you doing? Yeah, Daisy had to wait 32 years. They barely just brought Pauline back. They unshoveled Pauline's body from the underground bunker they left her in. So she exists now. Waluigi's got a while. This might be a goddamn shame. Waluigi, the antagonist. Not pro, not antagonist. It's antagonist. Which, that's actually a beautiful name. Waluigi the Antagonist would be an amazing game name, honestly.
In my heart of hearts, I know whose fault this is time and again. I blame Luigi. Luigi takes all that matters in my way. Third impact is stupid. My robot is my mom, and my girlfriend turns everyone into orange juice. Loser.
Oh, gosh. I'm glad that he is still actually active, the Brawl in the Family creator, Matt. I'm glad that he's actually still active doing stuff within, you know, online spaces and apparently game adjacent spaces. Like, I actually got to check out that biography, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it. The book that he wrote as well with Howard in it. I would be very curious to see what came of that. That's super freaking cool. The last thing I kind of really heard was, like, there's still songs I kind of knew that in the back of my head. But then there was also the Tadpole game. I'm like, that's probably the last thing I really, like, had in my head that he was really doing. So that's it's a great surprise to have in this workaday world. Opinion was that he basically formed videos with Go animation, which I thought were funny. Which in itself, you're completely right. That's a great way to also experience Waluigi too, right? That's like it's excellent. He's telling you to suck it. It's like, damn, who let that bypass Nintendo? And can we get them to make more video games for us, please and thank you? You read the book? It was good. Okay. It's like, yeah. Like, that's the part that actually really caught me off guard. It's like, yeah, Howard is also a part of it. And it's just like, what? How'd you manage that, for one? But for two, I'm very invested. This is like a portion of history from someone who I like their writing style. And now putting it into a different energy. I would love to actually read it. And now we have a personal review on there as well. So now I know it's good. Also, what's up, In Dark? What's up, Teo, as well? Yeah, Brawl in the Family was a huge influence on me as well, being one of the last webcomics I really, you know, drank up from beginning to end, which is a shame to see it go, but I also completely and utterly understand. There's no way that was going to make a living unless he really, really merchandised super freaking hard. And I'd be impressed. I'd be impressed if he did. He was nobody in this game wears me out. It's obvious like he was made there. I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of the same energy that, well, maybe not the same energy, but some of the same energy of everything has to have a reason for existing, basically. And I think when it feels like it doesn't have that reason, people get really fucking up in arms about it. I think I mean, this is not on the same caliber when I say this, so, don't take it horribly out of context, but the first thing that comes to mind is if you put a person of color into a movie, it's like, well, why is this person of color in this movie? They have to be there for a reason. And I think Waluigi gets a little bit of that same of like, well, why do they have Waluigi? We have different Mario characters. Why would we pick this guy? Why would you make this guy be in the game? And it's like, yeah, like you said, it's very obvious of like, we just wanted someone else in the game. We wanted a new, unique, cool, interesting, memorable character in the game. And it's not that hard to think about. But I think people just really are just up in arms when it feels like it's extra effort when it's really not, almost. So, honorary person of color, Waluigi. I'm going to see Indestructible Cat at MagFest, who's going to be Waluigi all weekend and bringing up matters of people in color and media. What a legend. So I'd probably just be indifferent to him. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember disliking him personally. I think I was just different as well. I'm like, oh, a Waluigi. That makes sense to me. He seems great as, a foil character goes. And when Luigi did not care. So it almost was funnier that way. So I really do appreciate that a lot. Walk. But then they came around with Waluigi and started making him have characteristics. And he's effectively overall a little bit more limber, flexible, effeminate to some degree with like a lot more ballerina ice skating dance moves and more of the Rose aspect. Like they kind of showed in there like James from like Pokemon. So, he's finding his way, and I'm really happy that that's where they're leaning into it. That he's very fashionable. He's, he has a false sense of confidence, fake it till you make it type of style. Really embraces the Rose, which is excellent. His stages are absolutely insane. I do remember Waluigi Pinball as a stage. So it's just like, that's just kind of like chaotic, but clean, classy at the same time. It's so good. He's purple. Yeah, purple's a color. You expected a color comic? Purple's a color. Purple's also a fruit, according to Homer Simpson. Waluigi is invited to the cookout. That's what I'm trying to say, is that Waluigi is invited to the cookout. And that dude can barbecue very, very well. He's the 12-hour smoker type of dude. He'll bring the whole pig. You're black? Explain. Yeah. Oh gosh. And the more I read into like more of the movie history, since like I said, I'm not much of a movie watcher anyway, the more I lean back into like the history of a lot of older movies and everything like that, it's just like I am very much realizing that like, oh, there was a lot more of these things happening before I really, really knew it. So it's like its own beast in its own regard. Yeah, the one who play a person of color is picking the third color of Inkling, boy and girl. That basically counts for Smash 2. It is awesome, little Mac. Yeah, the Mario Kingdom's gonna stay a very specific way. The crown princess hangs with a very specific crowd. I think that's good. I'm gonna put that there. The funny Whiplash Smash anti-Luigi. Yeah, like, I think that's a great design. He looks like Snidely Whiplash, which was still popular to some degree via cable channels, I feel like, around the U.S. time of things when that happened. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me, a person who really liked cartoons for a long time, that was just like, yeah, this seems like a great pull to make a character out of. You have all these other funny mustaches. You have kind of crazy jagged mustache, while you have a straightforward, smooth, but sharp mustache. I don't know. Derby wakes up from her coma. Does someone mention Waluigi Pinball? I gotta get on the internet and say these words. What kind of pinball machine is it? No ramps? No, all crazy balls? Starts at multi-ball? This isn't pinball. This is madness. It's madness. Ah! I don't know why she's screaming like that either. What's up, Derby? Good to see you again. Wario is the Muttley. I can see it. I can see it. I need some fan art of that. Maybe that's what I'll put on my arcade stick instead. The last one I know you watch is Max Payne. I think that might be one of the last movies I watched, period, as well, Atisia. And I wish I was kidding. I'm trying to think, like, what have I watched since Max Payne? Yeah, that might have been the last movie I watched. And that was like almost, what, half a year ago? I don't know. Singing in the Rain is all about the transition from Seinfeld to talkies. Oh, that's interesting, actually. Yeah, I've never... I know of the movie, but I don't know its historical presence, effectively. Obviously, he gives a game of... Instead of various... Instead of providing powers, he gives fancy dress shirts. Yeah. Make him the Final Fantasy X-2 of the Mario Kingdom. He's already the Bo Jackson of the Mario Kingdom. You might as well also make him the Final Fantasy X-2 of the Mario Kingdom. And you know that Daisy and Pauline would join him for that sort of RPG adventure. Did I just create the greatest game idea of all time? It is very possible. This would fucking rule. That would be so good. Yeah, see you next week here for Mr. Movie and Watch. Where it's the last stream my channel does before I get taken out for multiple DMCA infractions. There we go. I can say words. Moving by the previous place. So at least 5 months. So yeah, about 6 months then. Probably 6 or 7 months then. Yeah, I kind of I have not watched many movies. Just ever. Willy's Wonderland. I haven't even heard of that one. I don't know what that is. You chew the scenery without having a single line. I can easily see that, though. I can see that as a very real possibility. To hire this man. To be X2, throw Daisy in there. I thought I did say Daisy. What did I say? I thought I said Waluigi, Daisy, and Pauline would be the team. Maybe I accidentally said Peach, actually. Whoops. Musical Jerry tells how Waluigi's been a music star this entire time. Look, he was in the DDR game. He could easily be a pop star. Oh, I missed Daisy. I heard Pauline. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I mean, Waluigi and Pauline would go very hard as a team as well. But Daisy needs to be in there as the spunky type. Goodbye with Waluigi being a doofus on the airship. I will not relegate to Waluigi, the best dressed person in the entire Mushroom Kingdom, to being relegated to, Shaft status or whoever the leader's name is in Charlie's Angels. I'm not letting him do it. He is on the field and he's getting dressed with the best of them. Pauline, other Pauline, third Pauline. We got less than 8-bit Pauline. We got modern Pauline. We got Pauline from actual New York. We went on the streets of New York. We found some lady named Pauline, and she said, "Sure, whatever. I got some free time. I could do it." On a FNAF pitch, Josh's car breaks down. He's told to clean the abandoned Chuck E. Cheese is full of possessed murders and electronics to pay for it being fixed. Was this like an actual pitch for the FNAF movie that is not the FNAF movie now? And he just said, you know what, screw it. This movie bangs. I'm going to make it faster than actual FNAF. Guessing where's Pauline? Why is it Pauline? Is it retied at the Pauline? Look, Dolly Parton might be in on that. She might, look, I am 70 or 80 something years old. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do it, honey. Is in the eyes of glow sticks vibing to the song? Oh, easy, 100%. Booster would definitely be the kind of person who would be a whale for a burgeoning pop star of any sort and would be supporting them from the very get-go. 100% Booster would be there. Boost is the kind of person who watches streams and then drops like $1,000 onto them and then doesn't even clip their reaction because they're just happy to help. They like seeing them be joyed. Nick Cage is obsessed with a pinball machine. Yeah. Sorry, my brain broke at understanding what this movie was now. So it's a FNAF pick with Nick Cage as the lead. Yeah, that's how my brain feels right now. I can't believe it though. Nick Cage loves Space Cadet pinball. Good. Nick Cage is at least still human then in that case. That's good to know. Yo, what's up, Nerd Josh? How you doing? Happy Sunday to you. I hope this past week has treated you well. What's going on, fam? Sorry that you beefed it, but you know what? We love you here a lot all the same. And yeah, Dolly Parton is an Asian country star, he says trans rights. So it's like, well, I barely know anything about Dolly Parton besides Dollywood, and she says trans rights. I mean, I already very much like her. She's making into Willies for horror movie reasons. Most of them get killed. Yeah, someone else got to get killed along the way. It's important. It's very important. I'm going to turn this back on for a second while I'm kind of chilling. This is just a super chill day. I don't have to keep to a schedule. Just got to be done around 5-ish, that's all. We got to get into this, the late game. Actually, you know what? No. Let's go something trippier. Yeah, it's my stream. I'm going to run it how I want to. And you can't stop me. That's not fit, though. There we go. Nice. Because now you've got me invested in this Willy Wonderland movie. And now I have to ask more questions. I have to learn more. Also, it's not Nick Cage hides in the security booth for 6 hours. He kicks ass. So he's the snakes on a plane, except it's animatronics in a crane. I was trying to make it rhyme. It didn't really work, but you know what I mean. Dolly is an angel. She seems great outside looking in. That's all I can really say about her. But she seems wonderful in her own right. But thank you for the backup, Petty. Letting me know that I can do this however I want to. Especially on my lazy days, at least, like this one. My super chill days. Yeah, boss of Ryudo.com/Ryudo. Yeah, Ryudo 1 died. And now Ryudo 2 is here to replace. Yeah, Ryudo 1 didn't get enough sleep last night. It just, just slept forever now. And I'm here to replace him. Since we got that quiz every month too. Jeez, wow. Does it speak at all in the movie? So that's what was meant earlier when can really chew up a scene without saying anything. I bet Nick Cage saw that and was like, oh, this is a very weird challenge. I'm in. This is weird. Soda energy drink. Oh, that's just Hassie. That's just gotta be Hassie then. Oh, you've seen it as well, Indestructible. Maybe I should make a group watch of it then and find it at some point. He possessed robots to death with his fist. With his fist? It's not even like he gets the pipe and he just starts doing work with a crowbar or something like that. He's not even hitting the Gordon Freeman. He's hitting him with a double dragon. Okay, that actually is baller. He grunts a few times. Immersion ruined. Nick Cage grunts a few times. How inconvenient. Don't like it. Is 100% a picture perfect B movie. I am extraordinarily curious about this now. I'm extremely curious about this. This is a paying job I'm in. That's also very likely a part of it too. Oh, this pays? Cool. I like having money. I understand Nick Cage. I wish I could just be asked to just be a part of a movie, and I'll give it my all. God. Like this M Pig. I don't know what Pig is either, but it sure sounds like the name of a movie that Nick Cage would definitely be like, yeah, let me in. See, that's the specialty of Ryudo that you only get on twitch.tv.com/Ryudo. That's me. I'm the guy. You better enjoy the ride. Oh my god, amazing movies. A John Wick of foodie films? Well, I have never seen John Wick, despite me needing to see them for additional reasons outside I've heard they're really good. But I had a friend who worked on them, and I try to watch a lot of the stuff that he works on that I know of, and that's like one of the last few I've never seen that he's worked on. And I need to watch those series of movies at some point, but once again, it's really hard for me to watch movies. So I have no idea what that could possibly mean when you say it's a John Wick of foodie films. But it does sound badass. But whose truffle hunting pig is stolen and has to get it back? Yearly marathon always Nick Cage. just praising the heavens when Nick Cage finally says he's retiring. But he just starts making his own movies on YouTube instead. And you just have to damn him even further. That would be so freaking difficult. But at least I would catch up on all the Nick Cage movies in general. I've only seen so many. So he's like, dive into the underbelly of the Seattle foodie scene? I was thinking like they would place him in somewhere like extra hardcore, like, you know, South America somewhere or something like that. No, he's in Seattle? I kind of want to watch this movie even more than Willy's Wonderland. I mean, the Seattle foodies do go pretty damn hard. Maybe I'm just not giving Seattle enough credit. I gotta ask Boyce. When the last time his truffle sniffing pig was stolen and what he had to do to get it back. Actually, is there a dog in the movie? If there's a dog in the movie, maybe I can make him watch it for rough cuts then. See, that's how he has a scene with the Seattle gum wall. If he does, I'm going to vomit on my screen. Fucking hate the gum wall. The gum wall can chew my whole ass. And would be more hygienic than that damn wall. All right, the director of Ringu to make a Japanese remake of Wicker Man. Someone should give him a budget. I agree. What the fuck? His newest film, Dreams. His newest. He's still not done. He'll never be done. Understated Nick Cage. Oh my gosh. Nick Cage and people's dreams starts getting violent. Isn't that the storyline of Freddy Krueger? I don't remember the movie because I've never seen any of those classic horror movies ever. And I've only played the games of some of them, but like Reverse Freddy. Okay. Oh, people getting violent. Oh, I reversed it. Okay, I see what you're saying. It's a Reverse Freddy, where in his dreams everyone else is Freddy. And he needs a buff. Gotcha. Oh, both. He also does the violence. He fights back in their dreams. This sounds like an M. Night Shyamalan potential movie. Sleep is a very cutthroat business. By the end of the night, at least one person is going to be sleeping with the fishes. He has no control over this. Actually, I think this is just the plot to Mario Brothers. Mario wakes up, he's somewhere else different, and he just has to commit more murders so he can finally go home and rescue the princess. Every time he's like, oh, well, now I'm up to 5-3. Oh, another fucking castle. Man, closed caption had a hard time with that one. It's car-coded. He was born this way. He was born this way. It's in his genes. And Luigi's on the side like, wait a second, that's not in our genes at all. I don't have any. He's like, shut the fuck up, Luigi. And then jumps on his head and continues to murder the Mushroom Kingdom. One brick at a time. All right, well, I appreciate you. It's overalls. It's literally in his genes. The gene part of his overalls. Well, thank you all for catching me up on some cool Nick Cage lore as well. That's just great. Actually, so I don't forget it as well, I'm going to ask someone, I don't really care who, to add that to the cool list, the names of those two movies, so that I can remember to check out Willy's Wonderland and Pig, and maybe try to get a group watch of it going somewhere. I also want to play Cannon Spike too. My only experience with Cannon Spike is someone recommended the OST to me, and I don't like it. So I'm like, maybe I just need to listen to it like in context, and maybe I'll appreciate it a little bit more. But I didn't like the OST just on its own, and I mean that's fine. It's not like it's the end of the world or anything like that. But sometimes that makes me more curious to say, okay, what is it like in context? Because like I don't like Earthworm Jim's OST out of context, and I've never played the game, mind you. But everyone talks about how great it is. And I was like, why? I hate this one. But I see having potential once I see it in game. Glad to help. Hey, appreciate ya. What is this? Salty Bay. Caramel and Chesapeake crab seasoning flavored coffee. You know what? I can see it. I can see it, actually. I'm not gonna lie. I would have to see what the balance of the Chesapeake crab seasoning is. If it's pepper heavy, I can see caramel and pepper heavy flavors being very, very good. It's more of a spicy caramel than at that point. But it obviously depends on what else they're putting into there. Like if they're going for more like smoky caramel, that could work too. If they're just going for a stringent, somewhat salt flavor, then yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on there. I would say you should try it. I might try it. Fuck it. I mean, I did just buy some coffee though, but I might try it. That promotes my curiosity. Was never great. We were just 8 at the time. All best songs were sourced from other materials. I think that's also a big thing, right? A lot of other it was sourced from a lot of classic songs and whatnot and other materials. So in that regard, it's just kind of like, yeah, the original song's good. So of course the remake will very likely be good if the person has a good grip on how to use the system's tools and sound chip to actually reproduce stuff. And I think the best example of that once again is Rock and Roll Racing for the SNES and Genesis to a degree, because Tim Follin knew how to make a console sing. But also I just need to try Earthworm Jim, like playing Earthworm Jim someday. I just have never played it. That's on my one day maybe I'll play that list. Oh, was it Tommy Tallarico? That's even funnier. God damn it. I was hating Tommy before I even acknowledged Tommy. Even better. Nah. Giving credit where credit's due. I know that his OST work on some games has been very good. Mind you, it's dubious about who did what on certain things. I can at least say the Terminator Sega CD OST is good, and it seems like he has done actual work on it. But I can only say seems like it because, you know, everything else is very dubious. His mother would be so proud. He's can he even take credit for his mom in general? Or his mom joke that he keeps repeating? Who did the Earthworm Jim OST, but it would surprise me if Tommy took credit. It wouldn't surprise me either. Like if we all started talking about the Earthworm Jim OST, he would come out of the woodwork. He'd be like, yeah, I created that. Or first he'd say, yeah, my team created that. And if the conversation got any bigger, then he'd be like, yeah, I created that. Me, Tommy Tallarico. Single-handedly went in with a guitar and a drum set and years of experience, and I started making it the OST for Earthworm Jim. Yeah, like that's where I'm all along the lines of like, did Tommy actually ever do anything? At what point do we eventually learn that Tommy was just a manager the entire time, and will not just take credit for just being some level of like a good manager? Because I mean, it seemed like it was done, and I guess outside of him taking credit on stuff, like it seems like there's not actual complaints of working with him as far as I currently know. Mind you, the outcome fucking sucks, but at least in the meantime, maybe he's just an okay manager. Maybe that's where his strength lies, and he will not fall there. And I went to Miyamoto and I told him, I'm the first Sonic. You know that Sonic guy? He pushes his hair back. They based it off of me, Miyamoto. Yeah, he did try to sneak money into the U.S. illegally. Very, very smart idea. He's very much like Elon Musk, thinking 3 steps ahead all the time. God, I saw that goddamn tweet. Elon Musk is thinking 3 steps ahead. I don't believe he is. But I guess if that's how you want to ride that dick, you know what? Find what hits your insides best. Oh yeah, I guess he did do that, huh? I did forget about that part. 3 footsteps, yeah, 3 literal steps ahead. He walks 3 steps away from the meeting and goes like, all right, I see the whole picture. And he's like, we don't believe you do, but the weight of his ego. He's actually the Jafale of the tech industry, and people keep kicking him in the head, but he keeps saying, haha, I have you where I want you now. You may think that I am stunned and unable to move out of this situation, but that's where the false sense of security comes in. And then you kick him in the head again. You keep kicking him in the head. The Twitter account's been silent since April 2022. Well, with any luck, it will continue to remain silent. So people stop sucking Tallarico's dick as well. We'll see. He gets trillions and buy the sun. And yeah, once he owns the sun, everyone's gonna be like, wow, he is so smart for buying the sun. The thing that was never on the capitalist market whatsoever. Wow, he's so good. I'm a believer of Elon Musk. All right, I'm done talking about Elon. He paid them for it. It's an all account of it. Oh gosh. Those are definitely 2 different styles of dead. One we for sure hope is dead, and the other we hope that it comes back eventually. But only one of them has the opportunity to do the funniest fucking things ever by coming back. All right, for real. I have been talking for like the last 700 hours. Let me pause that. Let's keep taking a thorough look at Fallout, with this time being Fallout 2. We did Fallout 1 earlier, and now it's Fallout 2.
Plenty true in many ways, but Fallout 2 is a considerably more complex role-playing game.
Mr. Chillin' chat.
More to establish a definition
Capcom, please feed Petty. She's
dying.
dying. She needs help and food. Also, Darkstalkers.
From both a thematic standpoint and in terms of the game world's reactivity to player choice. It has more failings than Fallout 1,
All right,
but
let me know
that
if the
goes
volume's
largely
good.
hand in hand with the scope of its ambition. It is a completely different design philosophy from the confidently compact original game. Fallout 2 has always been one of my all-time favorites, and I'm still amazed by it this time around. But I'm also a little too old now to really appreciate some of its more sophomoric writing choices.
That's fair.
From the beginning, Fallout has always worn its pulp influences on its sleeve. Fallout 1 presented an artwork on its installation screen which showed it as a comic book to attractive vault dwellers.
I also had to hear the
and
intro,
outfit
so I
scenes
knew
to
where
forward
exactly
ghouls. Fallout 2 leans into the pulp
he
of
was
its
leading in
shooting
at as
genre
well.
far more than Fallout 1 did. In the wake of the really great post-apocalyptic titles of the 70s and 80s, like the Mad Max trilogy or Logan's Run, came
Volume's
an
good,
absolute
perfect.
flood of bizarre, low-budget knockoffs, like the Roger Corman 1978 epic Death Sport and Paul Bartel's 1975 Death Race 2000, or 1983's Warriors of the Wasteland, or 1987's Creepazoids.
Oh,
or
thank
even
you.
some good ones like 1990's
I turned it on for the other
Hardware.
video,
They're
and not
all
this one.
very cheap and often extremely horny in a pulpy way. The best example being the absolutely bizarre cult classic Cherry 2000, a 1987 movie where
Thank
a man
you.
goes
Appreciate
on a
that
quest
so
into
much.
a post-nuclear wasteland to find a replacement for his beloved sex robot, who he took into the shower one too many times. Along the way, he learns self-confidence and decides to pursue a real relationship with a real girl, as played by Melanie Griffiths as a hard-boiled mercenary. Cherry 2000 is fucking ridiculous from start to finish, a cornball train wreck of cheese and sleaze. What differentiated the Fallout setting from this wave of post-nuclear media was its commitment to the Source era, a distinctly 1950s apocalypse, along with a dose of atomic-age sci-fi and another stranger undercurrent of Gothic architecture and sensibilities, as seen in the faces that adorn old buildings like Art Deco gargoyles. Fallout 1 was
University
very committed to that
Noah Cadwell
particular
Gervais.
artistic vision, and it made Fallout extremely distinct, not just from the post-apocalyptic media that preceded it.
Look,
but
only
any
has a
other
10-hour video
post-apocalyptic
about
game
Fallout.
even remotely like it, such as Wasteland. Fallout
That's
2's
that's shorter
biggest
than
artistic
most
failing
college
is that it
classes.
seems to largely ignore the franchise's need to create its own identity this way. Instead, in addition to all the referential humor, it adopts a referential attitude. Fallout 2 seems to see itself more in nostalgic parallel with the 70s and 80s wave of post-nuclear schlock adventure than it does with the 50s and 60s duck and cover era, which, again, is baked into the
Okay.
construction of Fallout 1 as well, with bars like the Scum Pit and stuff like Death Claws and Super Mutants, or the fact that you can recruit a canine companion called Dogmeat if you're wearing a Mad Max-style leather jacket. The ratio of 80s post-nuclear reference to 50s post-nuclear reference just begins to tip more towards genre material from the 80s than source material to the 50s when it comes to Fallout 2. The tone shift between 1 and 2 is demonstrable and constant, but it's only occasionally a bad thing. Fallout 2 being so different from Fallout 1 works in its favor.
And
more
maybe
often
someone
than not,
knows. When
because
Fallout
in addition
1
to
and Fallout
presenting a
2 come out,
generational shift in
years-wise,
source
I guess it's
material
probably
and
fine.
inspiration, it presents
I don't
a
know how much of a
generational
gap there
change
is
in composition
between
of
the two
wasteland's
games.
inhabitants and concerns. It is now 160
This is your
years
favorite Fallout,
after
yeah.
the nuclear war.
I feel like I've
What
heard a lot of people
settlements
say
there are
Fallout
have
2
advanced
and or
beyond the
3 are like their
concerns of simple
favorites.
Scavenging and survival. This is an
So
age
I'm
of small
not surprised to
fiefdoms
hear
and
that at all.
republics, perched
But
on
I've
the
never
verge
touched a
of
Fallout
dominance
before,
or
so that's why I'm
relevance.
even watching
It
this thing in the
is
first
less a
place.
wasteland
Also, what's up,
and
so
more
Chris? How you
frontier.
doing? A 1-year
For all its
gap?
pulp
Okay.
and gritty posturing,
So the
Fallout
fact that
2
looks very
is
similar
principally a
does
game of
make sense. They just kind of
politics,
built
and
on
that's
the
the
same
legacy it
engine
leaves moving
and moved it
into
forward.
the later titles of the franchise.
In a few weeks. Okay, yeah.
It takes a while to warm up to that, though. The whole feel of Fallout 2 is significantly different in the early game than its predecessor, more difficult, more deadly. Fallout 1 eased a player in, built up gradually, focused more on quests than combat at first. Fallout 2's tutorial is one of the most equally boring and deadly tutorials of nearly any role-playing game. The setup is interesting enough. 80 years ago, when the Vault Dweller was exiled, other members of Vault 13 followed them into exile, and they roamed north until reaching Oregon, just past the California border. The whole story is told in the game's manual, written as a memoir of the Vault Dweller as they become elder and are asked by younger generations
Just
to
a
record
style
what
at
they
the
remember.
time.
It's interesting in how it retells the first game and makes certain choices.
But yeah, that
canon,
makes sense.
Even if the game
They
contradicts
probably have to
itself
react
later on
pretty
in some
fast if a game
instances.
turns out to be very,
What's
very
more
good.
meaningful is that in the absence of the Vault and the passing of those that remember the Vault, the few relics of Vault 13
Rolling
that
constant
remain
rage
have taken
faces.
on religious significance.
Because 3 is
Home,
actually a
royal,
3D
is
game,
dying,
right?
And the
At
tribe
that
needs a
point.
miracle. Miracles, of course, were a dime a dozen in the old world. Why pray to a god when you can simply go out and track down a Vault-Tec standard issue Garden of Eden creation kit? The size of a briefcase, this scientific miracle is essentially civilization in a can. Like the Holy 13 did 80 years ago, the community must offer up a hero to the wasteland.
3 is
go
3D.
out and
Okay,
retrieve
gotcha,
their
gotcha.
salvation from the rusty lockers and
And a
shelves
whole
of the
other
old
studio.
Conway world.
Oh,
If you prove
okay.
yourself worthy, that is, in the Temple of Trials.
Mm.
The thing that makes the Temple of Trials so difficult is that unless your character is actually a hand-to-hand or melee fighter, you're up against poisonous scorpions and numerous giant ants and spend most of the time missing your attacks.
Oh.
In the meantime, they poison you, sap your hit points, and make it genuinely difficult to reach the end in one piece if you've created a build more designed for diplomacy or ranged weapons.
Oh.
At best, it's tedious to trade misses in
Bethesda.
a tribal temple
Oh,
that could easily
okay,
be
gotcha.
a Conan-style high fantasy as in Fallout. At worst, you're having to save and reload in the very first map of the game. Fallout 2 actually begins when you put on the old vault suit of your ancestor at the end of the Temple of Trials, but that's anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes after the game technically begins, which is deeply frustrating. It's a very antagonistic start. Plus, Arroyo's side quests are themselves kind of tricky
quite understand
in
what
the same way,
Take
where
story
it's
was.
hard to hit the enemies at all if melee weapons
So I mean, we'll probably get into that when we get to the chapter.
The enemies hit you back for
probably
really
4
large
actually,
chunks
because I
of
know
your
there's some
health.
games in between.
This matters because Fallout 2's narrative doesn't start to become clear until
But yeah,
the mid
that
to
tutorial
late
seems
game.
fucked up.
It takes a huge investment of time, effort, and participation to gain a foothold.
Reminds
in
me
the
of
world
that
and to
video
make
of the
tangible progress.
Trails game
Fallout 2 is
first
far
tutorial
more
battle
hostile and slow at the
where the
start
NPC
than
gets
many
killed
modern games today
immediately
would create
upon
for a
wake
player.
up.
And even at the time, it was
The
notably
first
hostile.
3D Fallout.
Of course,
It's largely made by folks
Baldur's
who worked on
Gate
the first 2.
1 has plenty of moments where you're equally poor or
Okay, so that's
equally
why
fragile.
New Vegas is
But
so
even
freaking
Fallout
important
1
as well.
Is kinder and
Okay.
more generous in its opening hours than Fallout 2. The difference
If
in
I didn't know
playtime
about that,
between the two
I
games
honestly would have
deepens this
bounced
gap.
off of Fallout 2's
For Fallout 2, it
tutorial
takes
without
around
knowing
10
better.
hours of 40 to reach the mid-game and start to climb out of the danger zone of the lower levels. Whereas in Fallout 1, the total playtime is closer to just 20 hours, and you begin to become well-equipped by, like, hour 6. The arc of power is much different, too. In Fallout 1, you begin the Wandering Vault Dweller, and end the Wandering Vault Dweller. All your great accomplishments are negated.
It seems like
by
a
the
rough
climax.
tutorial, quite
Fallout
honestly.
2 is different. You begin
Also,
a
I'll be right
rural
back half a
nobody, one of the
second
few
here.
of
I'm
your
gonna
tribe to ever
turn on a
venture
fan
into the
real
town
quick.
of Klamath Falls, and you end as either the hero or the villain of an entire coastline spanning from the southern Oregon outback down to Reno
Alright, there
in
we
northern
go.
Nevada, all the way to the bottom of the map where you find Vaults 13, 15, and the nation that Shady Sands has grown into in the past 80 years. The top of the old map is the bottom of this one. It creates a nice sense of cyclical action, passing time, the past creating a dramatic climax for the present. You're following in the footsteps of what came before, but that past is just one small part of the newer, larger wasteland. This is a new story in which the player is afforded even more authorial power over the fates of its characters than the last time. Supposing, that is, that the player can survive the early game long enough to get there.
Yeah, it
The
seems
early
really
game's
rough in this
progression
game,
of
honestly.
townships has been curated for world building and immersion like the previous game, but the tone is immediately different. Klamath Falls is very unlike Shady Sands. In the previous game, Shady Sands was a wasteland town with wasteland concerns. The big scorpions, the raiders, its very survival was constantly in jeopardy. Klamath Falls hasn't quite tamed the wasteland around it, but it has reached a tidy little equilibrium with it. Klamath Falls' concerns are economic and personal. There's a trapper who's missing and a liquor still that needs maintaining, but these are just aberrations in the order of things. Trapping and liquor have been the trade of many others for many decades and will continue, even without your involvement and help. Klamath Falls has no ending slide, strangely, so nothing you accomplish here is reflected back at you later on. Its purpose
interesting.
is so introductory that it
Yeah, it
doesn't
seems
really
so
have
much of a big thing in the
conflict
first one,
besides
in really
side
cool
of town
ways, and
that's
like the end of the
infested with
game.
giant rats.
I'm a
and
little
the
bit
giant rat
surprised.
God, which is fun enough, but it's a huge dungeon area by the first game standards.
But I guess you're not
Which
meant to
make half
affect
an hour
literally
or
everything in the
more
world
all on its
either,
own.
so that
And
does
the
make
rewards
sense.
are deliberately quite minimal compared to the first game. In Fallout 1, you get a very lethal and dangerous submachine gun at the bottom of Vault 15. Here in Klamath Falls, you must work to afford Fallout 1's starting pistol. Your only lead for the get is a trader named Vic, but Vic isn't around.
Does it
and
feel like
his
there's
home
a
is mostly
reason why they
deserted
made it
aside from
so
a limited
hard for
selection
this
of junk?
game? Is
You're
like
pointed in the direction of a larger,
it's like a
dirtier
a
town to
point
the
they're trying to
east,
drive
Dead.
home, or a
Before you
tool that
go,
they're trying to make you
however, there are
use, or
two
something like
other
that?
dangling
Or is it
threads that
just
will take
harder for the
dozens
sake
of
of
hours
probably
to
just
clarify
being
themselves.
harder because they want to be
One is a crashed
hardcore
aircraft
gaming?
called a vertibird, the first sign of the game's new antagonist, the Enclave. And the second is a tantalizing elevator at the back of a cave where you rescue that missing trapper. The Toxic Caves are an incredibly minor location, but if you come back after finding an electronic lockpick and brushing up on your repair skill, there's a hidden bunker down there with a stockpile of rare weapons,
Just weird difficulty
armor, and
curve.
equipment,
Okay.
many
That's just,
of which can't be found anywhere else in
just
the game.
interesting. That's all. Just
you need to
very
do is
interesting.
Just really remember that it's there at the back.
I mean, I
of
guess the
Toxic Caves.
DLC, quote unquote, for
Where
Doom
Fallout
1 with the
wasted no
episode
detail
4 or
at
whatever it
all.
was,
Fallout 2
just
has entire
was
maps
a
and
complete.
plot
It sounds like a
lines that only
completely
minority of players will ever bother
misguided
to
way
find
of
or
approaching the game
explore.
as well.
There's an entire ending that changes
Well,
the
they
fate
made the
of
first two
Reno
games great, but
based
kind
on
of
if
crummy
your
quest
character's
structure.
male
Is
and
it
has sex
very,
with
I guess,
certain mob
Bethesda-like,
bosses'
where it's
wife
just
or
like,
daughter or both,
I need you
without
to
a
hunt
condom in
down
your inventory,
17
which I'll
book
talk about
rats.
all on its own later. But for now,
They're
I use
eating
this
all
example
my
to illustrate
crops.
just how massively,
Only 17 of them,
messily
though.
huge this game is by the standards of 1998.
If you're not Des like in the
According
Yes,
to an
true.
IGN
That's true. If you're turning it
history
around in a
file,
year's
the game's
time,
different
you do not
locations
have
and
time.
regions
Something's
were
got to
developed by
give,
different
and they
internal
definitely
teams and
cannot
only knitted
play
together at the
test
last
it
moment
to the
with less
degree
than
that it needs to be
2
play
weeks
tested
deadline
to.
before publishing, which is why For how
Yeah, if
much
you got good at the
content
prior
there is in the
title, it's a
game,
follow-up,
there
like
is
Doom
a significant
Eternal, I think, in
minority
that
of
regard,
stuff
too,
which is
where
visibly broken and
it starts off
unfinished,
right
including
where it
some
left
deeply
off in terms of
critical plot
difficulty.
stuff that breaks endings in this game, just like some of Fallout 1's endings were broken. I wanted to have the basic retail Fallout 2 experience for this video, but dedicated modders have spent years restoring a great deal of this cut and unfinished content, adding quest resolutions and whole maps that were never finished in the official release.
Oh, wow.
I've never actually played Fallout 2 that way, but if you're thinking about taking the plunge into the classic Fallout experience, it's worth considering that time and effort has allowed what Interplay did not in 1998 as far as a finished product is concerned.
That's
The
great.
crunch on the Fallout 2 development team was brutal.
Okay.
100-hour weeks. It was in this environment that Tim Kaine, Leonard Boyarsky, and Jason Anderson left Black Isle to create Troika Game Studios, makers of the equally ambitious, if less well-known, Arcanum, as well as video game adaptations of tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons Temple of Elemental Evil and a version of Vampire the Masquerade for computers called Bloodlines.
Oh, that's
The writers
awesome,
and
actually. We
designers
talked
of
about that at
Fallout
one point
2
on the
ended
stream
up
as
being a
well.
largely separate team of
Because they have
people
direct
than
lines to
made
the
the
desk,
first
they might not have
Fallout,
much
which
feedback. Yeah,
certainly
if it was
comes
that
through.
quick of a turnaround
Fallout 2
too,
was created
they probably
in
had no
just
time to like say,
15
"Oh, this is
months. That
what
it
people
came
have
together
problems
all
with,"
as
and
an
they're
act
actually
of
talking to us.
tremendous collective willpower.
We don't have time to
That
actually
came
listen to
together
this.
so
We just got to keep making the
cohesively and
game.
so
So that
well
makes a lot of
was
sense,
nothing
Foozle.
short of
Yeah,
miraculous.
XCOM 2
Fallout
overcorrects
2 is
difficulty
every
compared
bit
to
the
one's
classic that Fallout
bugged.
1 was,
Oh,
but the
bugged
different
difficulty
team
levels.
had
I
a
didn't know
different
that
artistic
either.
sensibility, and the game they
But
created
okay, that
has a
does make a
different
lot of
set strengths
sense.
and
Also, what's up,
weaknesses than
Foozle?
its
How you
predecessor.
doing?
It's a classic in a different way, and that difference begins
Seem
in
less
Klamath Falls
daunting.
by establishing
Okay,
a
making messages a
contrast
little bit
between the
linear, not
concept
leading to
of
more content like the
post-apocalyptic
previous games.
wasteland
Oh, okay,
and a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
post-apocalyptic frontier, where the questions are no longer about survival,
Cool, so
but about building a future in the shadow
It sucks
of a
to
flawed
play.
and broken
Yeah.
past. Arriving
Except
at
for
the
me,
den
buddy.
after
Times of
Klamath,
dungeon, you've
the mood of
grown.
the world
Oh,
darkens.
that's
The den is
bad,
a
though.
shithole, much more so
I
than the Hob
if
or
I have a
Junk
game that's
Town
like,
were.
oh,
The
this
biggest
thing's
power in
happening
town is a
again, and I
slaving guild
grown,
run by a guy named
I fall off
Metzger.
so fast,
Metzger
honestly.
runs the whole town. All the smaller gangs yield to him. Children stand outside every main business and attempt to pickpocket you every time you walk by. Any important or plot items that they steal, luckily, can usually be bought back at the store run by the greedy orphan master. They're not lost forever. It is very possible, though, to lose resources and fall behind the curve while questing in the den. But if you can win your
Wow.
battles, you stand to come up quite a bit. Thematically, both the den and Klamath
This
illustrate
Vegas
that as more
stakes
time
ass
passes and the
game
apocalypse
mechanic of
fades
the
into true
everyone's trying to
post-apocalypse,
rob you.
power and prejudice begin to concentrate and calcify. Klamath Falls was a slaving town, too. They were just more polite about it. The first slave you meet in the game is Sulik, a tribal. The whole tribal aesthetic in post-apocalyptic media is pretty old and threadbare, and Sulik is kind of an especially rough example of the trope, but his story, at least, is interesting. He's looking for his sister, taken by slavers like those from the den. During the search, he got rowdy at a bar, and by accruing damages for which he could not pay the bar owners back,
I
the bar owners took his
understand
freedom
of the
for the total
era
sum
and of the time,
$350
but
bucks. Barely more than the
still,
price of the cheapest
there's a
pistol in the
reaction.
game.
There's a gut reaction
Slavery
there.
is, of course, one of the most horrendous legacies of United States history, one where we are still paying the price for the pain caused today. Fallout 2 explores what slavery might look like in a number of more modern-feeling contexts and justifications. Klamath's small-town bigotry isn't loud and clear like Metzger's operation in the den, but the lack of regard for human worth or human dignity is actually equivalent between the two towns. Slaving, and selling companions off to slavers, is actually an interactive component of the game for evil characters.
Oh.
On one level, this is part of the genre fiction, as slavery is a staple of all sorts of post-apocalyptic media as an easy, useful symbol of societal decay and backwards movement. I feel a bit, though, that there is perhaps a limit of taste and respect being crossed in portraying such a thing in a participatory way, history being what it is.
I will say it's a
extremely
weird
optional,
line.
and the option existing does
of-
add weight to being able to also oppose the practice.
If you're
but
trying
it's
to give your
still
game
an
that
early
full
example
feel
Fallout
of
2 leaning
being able to
towards
do
grit
whatever you
in a
want,
crass or
that
careless
can
way.
include some very
Most
bad things,
players will
especially
likely
in a case
gun
of like
Metzger
this,
down,
where it's
free
like
his prisoners,
they're
and take
trying to
all his
really
shit.
open
That's
up these
fine.
open world games.
Until then, though,
So it's like
Metzger is a
respect due
mechanically
into trying to make the game
useful
as
villain
big
because
and
the player
open
must
as possible in
choose
terms
their
of
moment
options.
when to
But yeah,
antagonize
there's
them.
definitely a
When
line
the player first
crossing,
rolls
probably,
into
I
town,
imagine,
the
in the
man
game
and
that's
his
just like,
operation is
that's not
much more
good.
powerful
That's
than
just
you
not
are.
well done.
But coming
though.
back even just a couple towns worth of experience points later,
Yeah, no, I
allows the player
appreciate
to
that,
completely
actually.
eclipse
Like, I'm not gonna
Metzger
glaze
in
over that.
damage and
I'm
power.
gonna say, hey, this is the
The good
actual
ending
history of
the
it,
den is
and
impossible
here's,
with
you
Metzger
know,
alive
where we're
at the
looking
end
at
of
it
the
from here.
playthrough. Metzger must die for the den to flourish, or else the den will become a hopeless cesspit of human misery and human trafficking for decades to come. In Junktown, The difference between Killian's rule and Gizmo's rule was ironically inconsequential to the material success of the town.
If you're a tech
The
boy,
den
the game
is,
match is less
by
effective on
those sorts
you.
of amoral standards,
Oh.
quite successful already. You could
Playing
get
is
rich
rough.
quick
So
the
the
same
ideas were
way
great,
by
but the
not
actual
selling
execution
your
just
friends
seemed
out
really, really
figuratively,
rough.
but selling them off, literally. People
And
default
it probably
to
would not
bigotry
be
and
fun
evil
for like
because
a
it is
haha,
easy.
I'm gonna play this as a joke
Civilization built
either
on
because like
ignorance and evil
to get to the
is
cool
likewise
ideas, it's
easy.
a
In this
slog.
way, the most defining characteristic about these sorts of towns and these sorts of townsfolk is not their resilience, not their ability to weather the hardscrapple wasteland existences like you would in Fallout 1. These townfolk in the den cannot envision a future without greed and exploitation and never even try to do better or different, unless you envision it for them down the barrel of your gun, big hero that you are. Fallout 2's sarcasm and cynicism might be less literary and strategic than Fallout 1's, but it is still every bit as cutting. The anchor point
I
for what
see
the
that.
game
I
is
can
trying to
actually see
say
that.
with slavery conversation and a lot of the
The trap
cynicism
dungeon
of
or the
game in
shock
general
dungeon or
is
the
Vault
Ice
City,
Gorilla
the largest
dungeon.
civilization in the game world's
Ice Gorilla
northeast, and
dungeon
the
as a
place
name
when
doesn't
the
have any
early
right to
game
go as hard as it
transitions into
does,
the big
but
game. Vault City
I'm
is,
sure glad
on
it
the surface,
does.
a new Eden, by design, as it was created with the aid of a Garden of Eden creation kit. It is a rare instance of a Vault-Tec vault actually working exactly as advertised. The Vault Dwellers waited, emerged, used the kit, and built their new Eden. For them, and no one else. There is technically a test you can pass for citizenship to Vault City, but it requires on your character sheet 9 intelligence, 9 perception, and 9 luck. If you ever create a build that can pass the test, the proctor is shocked.
No.
Vault City is a satire of American meritocracy. Vault City has certain outward trappings of a
Yeah, I was gonna say, it feels like there's like a
rational
similarity
democracy,
between
but
like people coming to the
non-citizens are
U.S.
used
and
as a constant
passing the
pool of
very
slave labor.
highly specific
Prisoners are
test.
forced to do it, refugees volunteer for it, and all they get in return is scraps and empty promises. And anytime you use the word slave, a Vault City citizen gets very defensive and pissy about it. Effectively, Vault City is a bureaucratic oligarchy where only those with ties to Vault 8 and a select few others who are proven to be valuable to the state have meaningful rights. Everyone else can stay in the courtyard and drink the irradiated water from the well. Lynette, Vault City's first citizen, is an interesting villain in this regard. To solve the irradiated water problem, she asks you to destroy the nearby community of ghouls who are operating a nuclear reactor. What do they care about the radiation now anyway? They're ghouls. Lynette is easily upset, extremely defensive about the elitist society that she's helped create. She is also callous to the point of being bloodthirsty in a very bureaucratic way. She's a neoliberal, happy to support a colorblind kind of slavery so long as it's regulated with paperwork and keeps Vault City just trucking along. A lot of the player's interactions with the Vault City inhabitants revolves around poking fun at how shitty the whole thing is. For example, you can try to return a courtyard dweller to his wife from his imprisonment in the Servant Allocation Center. You can pay, or you can make up a disease whose symptoms are sullen anger and use of foul language. Wow, the slave master will say. I have seen a lot of that lately among the servants. You better get him out of here. On the way to Vault City, you pass through the farming town of Modoc. Modoc is one of the few settlements in the game without slavery, but the quest there also revolves around
It seems
fear
like
and
that way
ignorance.
in,
There's
I
a
will
group
say,
who have lived
what
underneath
feels
the
like to me,
ground in
I have
caves
not
for
played the games again.
generations. The slags.
It feels that
They
way
finally
in
emerge into a
retrospect,
farm, scaring
but I
off
feel like
the
almost
farmer
all
with
of the
ghost
time,
dreams.
I don't
If you
imagine those
can't
mini games are even
conclusively
trying
prove
in the
to
first place.
townsfolks of Modoc
And I wouldn't
the
be
good
surprised if they're
intentions of
among the
slags, within
first
30 days,
to kind of
there will be
embrace
war
that sort
between
of
the two
thing
of them.
and really
It's
put it
easy
under
enough to
any
figure this out
lens
within the time limit.
around
The
that
farmer
time
that they think is dead
either.
is actually just
So I
drunk
wouldn't be
and
surprised if they were
then
kind of amongst
bodies
the
are fake,
first,
and the
but I
child
don't know
that was
because
abducted
that's
is
just
secretly
not
lost.
much of my
A
era of
very
gaming to
simple
really get to the deep
series of
storyline
mistaken
stuff.
assumptions. And yet, it almost means a lot of gunfire and a lot of death. So across the entire reach of the northern map in Fallout 2 are comparative examples of how communities come to accept and perpetuate the cruelties of the past, the attitudes that led to
And I mean, I'm
nuclear
trying to
war
think
in
of
the
like
first
games that I
place.
know of
Passive bigotry in
that are a
climate,
little bit older
fearful
that
reactionary response in
really
Modoc,
build into
raw
that, and I'm
cruel
just like,
slavery in the den, sanitized and bureaucratic slavery in Vault City. The heart of the questing in Vault City has to do with if this new state expands or contracts in its
I don't
dealing
know. I
with
can't
other
think of
civilizations
much
of
off the top of my head
wasteland.
around this
Gecko,
time.
the ghoul city with the power plant,
So
is
yeah, it
the
might
first
be amongst
major
the
test
first,
of
at
how
least.
that's going to go. The quest is kind of broken, but
Without
it's
being,
broken
edgy
in an
humor style
accidentally
either.
sarcastic way. Whether on your own or at the urging of a hyper-intelligent rat, there is a wide variety of extra steps you can go through to not only repair Gecko's power plant, but optimize it and restore it to pre-war capacity. If you do all that, and deliver a treatise on how the sale of power could allow Vault City to expand to a friendly ear named Councilman McClure, it should trigger the good ending, wherein, according to the wiki, quote, The harsh xenophobia of many of Vault City's leaders faded into obscurity while ghoul and human labored side by side to create a center of learning and tolerance where once had stood only enmity and distrust. End quote. Instead, the game defaults to the slide for what happens when you optimize Gecko's power plant without securing McClure's help with the Vault City Council. Without McClure's vote, the Council yields to Lynette's faction, who then invade and enslave Gecko. Growing up, a part of the good guy fantasy that I enjoyed in Fallout 2 was creating outcomes that were the best for everyone involved. And that's a cathartic fantasy to express. Now in my 30s, the optimism of the bugged good ending rings hollow to me. When Disco Elysium came out in 2019, it wildly raised the bar for both complexity and
so much
irony
stuff's
in
broken. It's
discussing
really
politics
funny to
within
me.
the setting of an interactive isometric RPG. One of the RPG tropes it's most interested in breaking down is this idea of a golden ending that works out great for everyone. Some things aren't possible to compromise with, or worth compromising with. Sometimes conflict is both inherent and inevitable. There is not always a disco option. Fallout 2 meant to include a disco option for Vault City, but due to an
not know
error,
that was actual
it
term,
defaults
and that's
to a much
really
more
like that.
cynical resolution, wherein the more you help the ghouls and the more you give to the town of Gecko, the more likely it is that Vault City will just come and take it, negating your own good intentions completely by simply doing what Lynette told you they wanted to do in the first place. That this was even an ending at all is a dark and cynical punchline, but the accidental preferencing of that bad ending, when you should have mechanically triggered the good one, makes it even darker and more cynical, which I kind of like. Fallout 1 knew how to preference the narrative over the player's power fantasy. It knew when to disempower and negate the player's agency to tell a sharper story.
I do need to return
Fallout
to
2 is
Disco Elysium at
excellent in
some
this as well,
point, though.
even if, sometimes, it's a little harsher than it even intended to be. Surviving to the mid-game transition at Vault City, that is the hardest part of all. Fallout 2 is never as difficult as it is in the first 10 hours, when the game is just flat-out randomly lethal much of the time. Random encounters come with greater frequency than they did in Fallout 1, and the enemies that you face in these random encounters tend to be more numerous and better armed, which is great if you survive. It's possible, if you get lucky or do well, to get absolute heaps of equipment and experience within the random encounters that will put you well ahead of the basic power curve. If you're more fragile or less lucky, it can mean that every journey between settlements is a potential party wipeout. The traversals are long, too, a week or more of in-game time between settlements. You're rolling the dice on random encounters very frequently. And this is just the top section of the map. The thing is, this duration and
I was kind of
difficulty
wondering how
of travel
battles work in this
is
game,
a
like in terms of
temporary
like,
thing.
is it
In the junkyard at
random
Gecko
or are
is a
there just
ghoul
people
who
on the
will trade you a
map?
car's fuel cell controller for a set of fancy tools which you can get by performing another obscure side quest in Vault City. If you
Can I give you
take
a
the
hint
fuel
to
cell
help you get through this
controller
game?
back to the den,
I mean, you can give me all the hints you want. I probably will not play the Fallout series, so I've never played one. I probably will not play one. So yes, you may. I'd be curious to know more about the workings of the games too. Like people want to share about the game and there's like the workings and stuff like that. I'm all in to hear more about it. Like 100%, I'm all in.
With options to
Gauss
raise the speed
rifle?
even higher later on. with
I take it that's a
upgrades.
very good
It's
weapon.
also a traveling personal stash, a giant well into which you can dump loot and supplies that follows you to every town. Modern games would make acquiring something
100%
like
use
Highwayman
guys for
automatic
okay.
at
So
some
even if I
point,
do hop on these
integrated into
games,
the main
don't fuck
path.
around and find
It
out.
is
Well, fuck around and
wild
find out.
that
But if
such
I
a
need help,
transformative and
use help.
necessary game
Use all the
feature
help that I
is
need to.
gated behind a series of low-impact side
Old
quests
era
here
stuff
in
is
Fallout 2.
absolutely built
It's
different. You're
how it used
absolutely
to
right.
be,
Hold
though.
on.
There was an assumption that, given
Oh,
a
that was up.
limited
Hold on. How you
environment,
doing?
the player would proactively seek to explore all of it. There wasn't a sense of guidance being quite as necessary. There was an assumption instead of
Oh, you can
effort
also
on
save
the
as much as
player's
you
part
want. Oh, then
to
that
meet the
helps out
game
a lot.
halfway, at the minimum. For some
So even
who
know how to
grew up with a
control
modern
that.
style of quest
You'll
compasses and
fuck
checklist questing,
around.
this can make
You will
going
find
back to
out,
the
but the
classic
finding
Fallout
out
style
always
a
leads
murky,
downhill.
hostile experience. Even growing up instead with the older style, I am still
So the
often
Gauss rifle is
grateful
completely
for
busted
some
in this game. Is
clarity
it just
that
really
modern
freaking
open
good?
world compass and
Like,
marker
what makes the
systems
Gauss
bring to
rifle?
their game
You
world.
were going to explain to me like
I
I'm
mean,
five,
can you
mind
imagine
you.
getting
But
through
what
The
makes it so
Witcher 3's
powerful?
open
Is it just a
world
really
without a
high
compass system
caliber
with quest
strength
directions as
weapon?
vague as
Is it
those
just
in Fallout
accessible and
2?
easy to get?
Fallout 2's world is smaller, more predictable even with all the random encounters. It's more reasonable to assume that the player will discover the threads
Please
of
build the
plot
game
and pull
keys before you even
themselves
boot it
along
up.
at some point or another.
Jeez.
Even the main
Yeah.
plotline of Fallout 2 is essentially an obscure path with vague direction.
I have no real
The
plans to
Vault
play an
13
old
water flask
RPG
leads
in
you to
my
Klamath and
life,
Vic's house.
probably.
Vic's house
Real
and the radio
talk.
you find there leads you to the
But
den where Vic is imprisoned. Freeing Vic leads you to Vault City.
I
where the
think I
water
would
flask
enjoy
was
a lot
bought
more
from
if I
this guy in the
streamed
shed.
something
The guy
like
in the shed,
this
Plum, can't
instead of
recall
playing
where he
it
bought
in
from
by
himself.
myself.
Could be
Because I would
any
love
one
the
of 3
backseating
additional
in that
cities or
case.
2 additional towns. Now,
It has the
player
ASCII
knows
art. Yeah,
from
that's how you know you
having
found a
played the
great,
first game and gotten the NCR
great
ending
guy.
for Shade of
It
Sand,
has the
that
ASCII art. That's the
NCRs
old school
were watchful
style
best
right there.
bet.
If they could make
Without that
ASCII art out of
meta-knowledge,
it,
though,
you
it
knew
truly
you
could
found
be
the good
anywhere.
stuff.
It is as open-ended
This is a
as a
story of
shrub
fuck around
in
and
terms
find
of
out.
quest design. Almost
That's
all your
me.
activity
I'm
within the
Mr. Fucking
game
around and
is
find out.
self-discovered
What's up,
and
Green Bucket Guy? Good to see you as well.
deciding to take risks on bigger foes than you think
Just
you
hella
can
done
handle,
damage,
leaning
high
on the
accuracy
random
and
rolls of the
power.
dice to determine
Okay.
success or failure.
And late
There truly
game Fallout
is no
1.
main
Okay.
quest to speak of until the very late game. No matter how
Oh,
often
to
a vision of
limbs.
Hakunin appears to ask you to
And you get it
kindly
early as
hurry
well.
up.
So you're going to fall back
Fallout
on it.
2
It's
is
like
not
the Doom
technically an
shotgun
open
or
world
super
game
shotgun.
because it doesn't really have an interstitial space between maps besides what's
Play
generated
this
from
tries to
random
give you
encounters
info
and
player
a
might
small
need to know to
selection
make
of
joy.
special
Oh, wow.
encounters.
Really?
You can't exactly explore
actually
it the same way you can in the
cool.
later, more modern titles.
Before I play
Yet the
this.
open world feeling is already there. Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas are tied by more than just plot and iconography. Both prioritize side content over primary
Oh,
content.
wow. This is
Both
great.
emphasize
Holy
factional,
crap.
regional conflict, and both use the wasteland
just
to give the player a sense
pull
of extraordinary freedom.
A game I at least know.
Vault City's vault puts most of the other major settlements and civilizations on your map so you can explore. With a half dozen possible leads,
what do I need
a fully
before I play
charged highwayman,
Grandia?
and enough hit points on your character sheet to withstand some automatic fire, Fallout 2's world is ready to truly open up to a player.
This is
Maybe
actually
not
really
as open
cool.
as
Oh
the
my
modern
gosh. This
Fallout,
is so
but
cool.
more open than
This
any
is so
Baldur's
fucking
Gate or
cool.
Icewind Dale. More
Thanks
open
for letting me
than
know
the
about this
first
job
Fallout.
walk. Holy shit, this
New
is like this
Vegas
site's
is
great.
the only direct sequel there is to Fallout 2, but every modern Fallout game has Fallout 2 to thank for prototyping the sense of freedom that the franchise has become so well known for. Before New Vegas came New Reno, and that's as good a place as any to talk about the increased complexity and quest design that starts to emerge
Just
in
making
the
sure I
new
didn't
game
like
of
pop
Fallout
into a
2.
different chapter,
New
but
Reno is
I think it's
controlled
not
by
until
4 rival crime families, 3 of which
tactics.
have hidden agendas which affect the political outcomes for the whole region.
his armor piercing as
You're
well.
given an excellent hook in introduction.
Okay, so this weapon's
Briefcase
really
delivered
fucking
to
good
Mr.
then.
Bishop, the strongest crime
That lets you use
boss
a
with
lot
the
of
biggest
weapons so you
casino
can
out
start
of all
leveling
the
it
4
early.
families
Oh,
of
wow.
Reno. Bishop
So it's
has
just
the
like,
most difficult
you should
quests as
just
well.
do that.
2 hits, both on well-protected NCR politicians. The ironic thing here is that Bishop
guys,
is
and that's
actually
yeah.
making a play for control
Anyone
of
who's the fucking map
NCR
is always a
as
god.
much
I'm looking
as
at
for
Toast right
control of
now.
New Reno.
Who
He's
I don't know if
putting
they're
rating pressure
here
on
still,
Vault City,
but-
so they'll go begging to the NCR for help. You're eliminating those few voices supportive of Vault City in the NCR Congress so that Bishop can be unopposed. Bishop is mixed up in politics at the highest level. By supporting
cases
or
well, that's
undermining his schemes,
okay,
you
so that's
change
perfect.
the
Go for the
balance of
Gauss
power
rifle,
between
then.
all the major cities of Fallout 2. The Mordino family, by
No
contrast,
railgun is
controls
base.
the
Oh, it's a
flow of the logs
railgun?
in the
Oh,
game,
fuck.
Particularly Jet. a brand
Okay,
new
that makes
synthetic
a lot of
drug
sense
with
then.
a
Here's a
nearly
railgun.
100% addiction rate.
What do you
Jet
mean you're
has
insanely
absolutely
powerful?
destroyed the communities that it's gotten a hold of, particularly
no.
Redding to the north.
They're selling drugs in the
Mordino's
community.
power play doesn't
We need to
involve
call
the
Black
NCR
Dynamite.
at all. The Mordinos want an independent New Reno, supported by an infinite army of addicts, dependent on the flow of jet from the biggest little city in the post-apocalypse. Bishop and the Mordinos represent 2 paths to power: manipulation and exploitation. Neither are any better than the other, really, but the Mordinos are the more obvious villains. They manufacture jet and further refine its addictive qualities with human experimentation on live subjects, all slaves purchased from elsewhere in the wasteland. At the top of this narcotic food chain is a little shitheel named Myron. Myron is a boy genius type who saw his chance and ran with it. He's an entitled nerd in a respected position within the Mordino criminal empire. Myron
fucking-
gets everything he wants delivered right to him.
Okay, so he
Slaves,
looks. He
drugs,
appears as he
booze.
looks.
He's the
then.
golden child of a predatory, exploitative
About linear
system.
magnetic elections for a
All
second.
because Myron has no moral compass and he's willing to do anything for anyone so
So it
long as
goes
it
to a
puts him
coil gun. I don't know
While
what
the
a
game
coil
came out
gun
in
is, though.
1998, this kind
You're
of
welcome.
villain
You're welcome
that
to be a
Myron
nerd about
represents
it.
has
You're
become
welcome to be
more
a
and
nerd
more
about
common
it. This
in
is
real
the
life
perfect
as we
time to be a
sink
nerd
deeper
about it.
into the era of techno grifting, NFTs, and crypto scams, where the entire point is that deeply selfish, technologically
Fuck
gifted
Myron,
people keep
damn.
coming up with new ways to create pyramids of exploitation where they're at the top and everyone else is on the bottom, crushed by the weight of actual consequence. Politically, within the game, the Jet plotline is complicated because only Vault City has the medical resources to push back and mass-produce an antidote for the addiction. Solving the problem advances Vault City's interests, locking in an ending where Redding is aligned with their empire of soft-serve slavery. It's another darkly satirical twist. In a completely deregulated market like No Rules New
Damn.
Reno, money will flow in ways that create the most
So outside of being the
inequalities
obvious
in a
villain,
competitive way.
also fuck
It is
Myron on a personal
howling
level.
vortex of predatory schemes.
Makes me feel very
Whereas in a more
speed to kill a
managed
thing.
capitalist system, there isn't any
It's the one that'll
less
keep you
actual
alive in this
exploitation.
harder
That
game.
exploitation is just sanitized and directed down channels that take the chaos out of the situation and help preserve the system as a whole against
The Goss
instability.
Coil
New
railgun
Reno and
likers
Vault
have
City
popped
the
into
exact
chat.
same interest in the town of Reading. Keep the miners mining, keep the ore flowing. New Reno seeks to use chemical dependence to increase productivity and make it impossible for the miners to seek different employment or better their situations. Vault City's
wonder what
rules and
that's like.
regulations, by contrast, would criminalize so much of the miners' behavior and lifestyle that most of them would end up being indentured servants anyway. They would be equally unable to alter their situations for the better. Brawls of a parasitic economy bleeding them dry from miles away over the horizon.
What's the
One city uses vice to control them, the other city weaponizes virtue and progress to control them. The third option for determining Reading's eventual political alignment is the NCR, which is simply the least bad option rather than the good one. NCR's economic relationship with Reading is more simple, traditional. Reading sells the ore and pledges allegiance, the NCR protects the trade routes, and provides a kind of light federalism. There is no option in which Reading can maintain independence. At least, with a third option, there's a chance for the miners to retain some agency and dignity. In either pre- or post-war America, that's as good as an outcome as a person is likely to get.
Damn, all the
The
cool
last two of the
Battletech and
Reno
Mech Warriors
crime
folks
families are
talking,
much
that makes me
less
happy.
impressively
That's
connected and
something I'm
tied to the
so
overarching
so
narrative.
far outside of.
Consider, though, that the
Makes me
narrative
smile, though,
question
to
we're
see people
actually
talking
asking,
about
and
it.
the narrative path we're actually following here is, what is the balance of power in the region, and how can I tip the scales?
But I do like the idea in the game that's like, hey, yeah, it's not going to be any sort of good ending option for everything. It's going to be here's bad option, worse option, and slightly less bad option.
Which is why
That's
when
just
we get
the
to
reality.
Vegas, we'll
You don't
see a
get to
more
control everything.
satisfying inversion of this pattern. The more
I know some people will
personal
argue
elements
that's
of
like that
the narrative
ruins
in New
the
Vegas,
power
seeking out
fantasy
the man who
aspect
tried
of
to
certain
ahead,
games and
takes
whatnot,
up
but
only the first
I don't know.
act
I think
of
there's
the
a
game
certain
until
appeal
resolving the
to
region's balance of
the
power becomes
grittiness
explicit
of a
narrative
world
goal of
situation
second
and
third
what that
acts.
can be and how
Personal and
little you can
political arcs
effectively affect it
collide
while
over the
doing
course of the
really, really
DLC
big
as
things
well,
for it.
particularly Lonesome Road.
It's still the only thing you can
Fallout
do.
2 wasn't quite ready to
For a
fully
Lancer mech
prioritize
that
political
wrestles and
factionalism
barfs on other
over the more
mechs.
traditional main quest structure it follows, but the actual bulk of content of the game's
I have a
interrelated
lot of
narratives
questions.
all revolves around that
I hope
political
it's
focus
everything
anyway.
I ever wanted.
Narratively, the Salvatores are the weakest of all the New Reno crime families because they're just lackeys in the pocket of the game's main villain, the Enclave. Rather than reveal themselves, it is more useful to the Enclave to simply carve out power by proxy. So they've armed the Salvatores with laser weapons, and that's given them a frightening edge in the city's balance of power.
Oh, it was dragging the performance down.
In
Wow.
practice, they are the easiest casino to shoot up, the easiest family to take down, and the easiest questline to follow to completion. What's fun about the Salvatores is not following their questline to the bitter end. Before a single family grants you made man status, you are a free agent. You are free to take quests from all 4 families and make absolute bank in terms of cash, loot, and experience. The Salvatores give you a fantastic couple of quests in that regard. In the first one, you need to track down a con man who cheated the casino. You follow him all the way out to the cemetery outside town where, in a reference to Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you make him dig up the treasure as you hold a gun on it. It's just a great, pulpy manhunt quest that deepens the character of the city of New Reno. Plus, it also shows some of that strange excess that the game has. In the cemetery, you can dig up not just that grave, but every other, for a small karma penalty each time, and
Wow.
you can find all sorts of shit in there. I must have played Fallout 2 a dozen times over the course of my life, and this is the first time that I bothered digging up any of the graves, because I had never really thought to try it before. The graveyard
I
was
assume karma
twice
is
as
basically your
interactive and
good
twice as
and bad
complicated as I ever
evil
gave it
meter or
credit
whatever.
for, and it's a map that few players will likely even see. After that, you can go try to collect a debt from the rude and condescending pharmacy owner, Renesco.
Pretty much,
who can't
okay.
pay. So you can arrange instead a deal where you cover his debt and he gives you everything in his inventory for free.
Wow.
It is a massive stash of useful items for the comparatively minuscule price of his debt. The moments that help deepen and define your experience within the city of New Reno are so much more interesting than the threat that the Enclave represents as villains.
Waluigi's
that the
in
Enclave's
Fallout
presence
2.
in New
He
Reno
caused
feels
Fallout 2.
mostly tangential. The Enclave
Decided it was
doesn't
finally
narratively
Waluigi
or
time forever
satirically deepen
and
the setting
did the
the way
damage.
the contrasting civilizations of New Reno, Vault City, and the NCR do. At least not until the very ending. when you get to
Strengths and
hear them
weaknesses, so hey,
explain
why not?
themselves. At the bottom of the power structure among the crime families
That
in
makes
Reno
sense
are the
outside
Wrights.
looking
Without
in.
even a casino to call their own, they hold on to power simply by being the biggest actual
I'm gonna
family
save your
in
bottle
the city
caps.
and by providing most of the city's booze, without
Wall
which either
out,
present
too.
Reno or New Reno would grind to a screeching halt as the lines of
Are bottle
suckers
caps
sober up
the
and stop
way to
throwing money
pay?
down the many money
Oh, right, yeah,
pits.
no, yeah, they are, because we were talking about the
Alcohol is the
Nuka-Cola
oil that keeps the engines of
last
vice turning
time
in New Reno
this
or
came
Old
on.
Reno. So the Wrights have some power left. What's extremely interesting is the two ways that the Wright family in New Reno's epilogue can go, depending on player choice. First, behind the scenes. Fallout 2 uses a kind of numerical ranking system to determine who's in control of New Reno at the end, where the Wrights begin in last place with 0 points, and every other family must be destroyed before the Wrights can climb the chart. The Wrights' triumph in any capacity is impossible without heavy player involvement. However, New Reno's future hangs in the balance of exactly how you accomplish it. The first part of the Wrights questline is a murder mystery, a pretty compact and fun one. The second part is a request
actually pretty
from the
cool.
Wright Patriarch to infiltrate and open up a
By the way,
long-sail
certain
military
request
base
was just key to
defended by
high luck and
automated
everything.
defense
Like,
turrets.
five says out this, I
The
tripped over a
parking lot of
crash
the base
Nuka
is full
truck
of
and
decades
like
worth of
10K
corpses, scavengers,
caps. I
raiders,
assume that's a lot,
adventurers,
but
army patrol.
it sure
Anything
sounds
that
like a
wandered
lot.
into the base's spiderweb died there. This location, the Sierra Army
What
Depot,
all does luck
is
do
not
in this
just a
game
path
then?
for
I
the
guess
Wrights
now
to
out of
arm
curiosity.
themselves in advance. It's a chance for the player to do so
There's
as
the
well.
impossible counterfeit with
There
post
are
tech
many
and fairly
valuable,
pitiful
lethal
curse.
treasures locked inside the Sierra Army Depot. A player who can crack
And there's
open
no
the base
cap
at this
on
mid-game
them.
stage will advance pleasantly ahead of the power curve. Yet, the most pro-social ending of the New Reno epilogues depends on your refusing to do so. Without these weapons, in the absence of the other families and their industrialized vices, the Wrights will organize a very boring government for New Reno. As the years go by, the population will triple, crime will reduce, and literacy will actually surpass that of pre-war Reno. Only if, of course, you deny the Wrights what they want and deny yourself the opportunity to really come up and get military-grade equipment. War never changes. Violence begets violence. Power entrenches power. The character of the city can only change in the absence
Item
of what came
find,
before
critical hit
being
chance,
feasible
random
to
XP,
continue
and Fallout
in
Day and
any
Fallout
way.
3. Okay, and
If you
gambling
take
makes
the
sense. Yeah,
weapons
gambling
and
makes
become
sense.
a made man of the Wrights, they launch a mob war
There's a
so
dark
fierce that it
knowledge
takes less than an
strat. Affects a
hour
lot
for
of
them
little
to wrest
things or
control of
large
the
ways.
downtown area
Okay.
from the fragments left of the other families,
I
demolishing
love
half
hearing
of
how
Reno
game
with rocket
mechanics
launchers in the
work
process.
as well, and kind of
In
what they
time,
put
the
together
Wrights
in
teach
terms of
that
like
they were the only
what do
crime
these
family
stats
to
mean for
ever
your character
control
and how does it
Reno.
change your
History
gameplay?
written by the victors. By putting the Wrights in
Yeah, I
charge
am
of
asking
the
some
New
old
Reno
questions as
power
well, so
structure,
you know,
have
I don't expect
also
everyone to
preserved
know
the
stuff
New Reno
either.
power structure.
But you know, if you
There's
can even give me
also a
soft
fifth
answers, like
option, only
I do
available to
greatly
male
appreciate any
protagonists.
answer I get because I'm
Father
like
of
I'm
bastard
really
of
outside looking
destiny
in.
with either bishop's wife, daughter,
So
or
I do
both.
appreciate that, y'all. Thank
This
you.
takes epilogue priority even over supporting the Wrights. In this epilogue, your child follows in your footsteps, adventuring, gaining control, creating a new and separate destiny the way your characters in Fallout 1 and 2 are descendants with the same legacy of action and reaction. Perhaps it was intended as an unused hook for a game that never happened.
You just
New
talk
Vegas
your way through the
bashes this
game.
bastard of destiny ending
The-
up
the-
with
the
the Wrights'
Deus-
martial
the way I play
victory,
Deus Ex.
allowing for the existence of this potential future descendant, while also recognizing that most players likely opted for the good faction of the Wrights in their playthrough. When Baldur's Gate 2 came out in 2000, it was by far a larger and more complicated adventure than Fallout 2 was. Yet, for all Baldur's Gate 2's complexity, its narrative structure and style is more traditional and more familiar. It is a
Suspects,
classic
crit rate
D&D
gambling.
adventure module, proctored by
Okay.
an automated dungeon master.
You don't see my
Fallout 2's
notification.
structure is messier
Oh,
by
you're so
far,
true,
but also more
bestie.
freeform,
Come on in.
differently focused, deeply political, and also much more crass, more absurd, more self-conscious. Fallout 2 isn't simply the game that established the patterns that Fallout New Vegas would follow, it contains within itself the contradictory impulses and visions that would create the divide in experience between New Vegas and Fallout 3. As absurd
when
and
there are so many
unnatural
different
as the
solutions.
dialogue in Fallout 3 can sometimes be, it seems to me
That's
a deliberate
fair. That definitely
overcorrection
makes
from
sense,
the
I
elements
feel
of
like.
Fallout 2's writing that are flat out embarrassingly bad. Fallout 1 was gritty. It
I'm
was
sure
gritty in
he's
a
fine, so
pulpy,
great.
genre-specific way that
Sure he's
Archer's
great.
Lasni's Damnation Alley established decades ago. Fallout 2 is
This is
gritty in a
usually
sophomoric
crits,
way, where
and then
booze
it
and
sounds like in
boobs
the
and
older
bullets
games,
are
like you
still
could just
exciting
randomly
all on their
get
own, and
stuff
not just an
from it
element
as
of grit
well.
to be
Item
used
fighting.
with discretion. Fallout 2 was an unusually horny role-playing game, long before Mass Effect raised the ire of Fox News with its optional lesbian space romance. Sexuality in an RPG can be a lot of fun and actually add a lot to the world, like in the case of The Witcher 3, But the Witcher games didn't start out using sexual content as a balanced element. They began largely in the position Fallout 2 takes, where sex is incorporated in an irritatingly
Sex is
commodified way.
incorporated.
Witcher 1's commodification
Kenny
took the
G
form
pops
of creating
in.
a series of sexy baseball cards, essentially, that a player can collect by tomcatting around enough. It's juvenile and dumb, but ultimately kind of frivolous, just a casually crass way of rewarding completionism with the occasional naked tit. Fallout 2's crassness runs deeper in a way that I hadn't really noticed until trying a playthrough as a female player character. For the lady protagonists, there are extra bartering options throughout the entire game wherein you can agree to pay with sex instead of coin, especially in greasy, sleazy situations. You can fuck Metzger the slaver to get half price off Vic. You can fuck the people who stole your car to get it back for free. You can fuck drug dealers for discounts and sneak in to see Myron under the assumption that you're one of his working girls. If you can't pass the agility check to be an actual porn star, you can still earn $1 or $2 fluffing if you want to. It is entirely viable to orient an entire playthrough and character build to being a wasteland coquette. It expands the dialogue options considerably to play a lady protagonist, but mostly just in kinky, dumb ways that the player stands to profit from.
So that is explaining the kind of sophomore writing that he was kind of talking about earlier as well.
Borderline offensive. To be clear, I'm not criticizing sex work. I'm criticizing the rank simplicity with which the game treats sex work. What the Witcher franchise understands.
Okay, so
beyond
the agility
first
check to be a
game,
porn
where
star was
great
actually
deal of sex is
legitimate.
explicitly transactional, is that
I wasn't
Geralt
sure how
being a very
literal
slutty
that was
Newton
supposed to be
is part
taken
of
or
what makes
what.
him so endearing. Pleasure in a broken world is a complex theme, and the sexual connections that Geralt makes in the Witcher series are driven largely by dialogue and situation. Sex exists in that universe as it does in this one. It can be alternately beautiful or ugly, connected or disconnected, and either way, the point of it is in how people relate to each other and what they want from each other. Sex and money often come down to the same thing in Fallout 2, when sex isn't simply a straightforward joke of some sort. Sexist language abounds in Fallout 2, and although an argument can be made for it being appropriate to slavers and raiders and such, it is exhaustingly one-note just how much space this stuff takes up in the overall dialogue. Slut this, bitch that, over and over again. Part of that is the 1990s. A lot of 1990s
Like max
self-conscious
agility
grid
stats,
is
something like
like
that.
this.
It
across
does,
a
I will
variety of
say,
mediums.
outside
But
looking
most
in,
of it is
it seems
just
really cool about how
carelessness.
much your stats
Rather than
affect your
articulating a
capabilities
difference
in the
how a
game, like,
character of a different
and
gender
how you
would be
really
perceived
interact
in a
with the
meaningful
world.
way,
And it seems to
or
be
ignoring
very
the difference
good about
entirely and
that.
unifying the
And I'm sure
dialogue
games about
for
that
either gender choice.
really do a good
Fallout
job
2
about it
reaches the
now,
extremely
but it's
teenage
just like, because
conclusion
I don't
that
play any of
pretty
these
girls
open
get
world or
stuff for
Western
free if
RPGs
they
all
show
that
some
much.
skin, which
It's
the game then
really
makes
cool to see
mechanically
from a
throughout the
mechanical
progression in
standpoint
various stages.
outside looking in
Even
as an
if
entirety.
you want that kind of horniness to work, and having already admitted to thinking Cherry 2000 is a good time, I think I can say I'm not hostile to it. It's just too fundamentally unimaginative a perspective to gain any kind of thematic traction. It doesn't say anything universal or genuinely provocative. It says the same things you hear sitting next to a table of 14-year-old boys at a mall food court.
Mm-hmm.
Later games keep some of this absurdist sexuality.
Approach
when you
every
consider
situation.
how Fallout 3
And I think that's the things I probably enjoyed about Deus Ex
writing, I think it's worth considering
as
that
well,
an element
and maybe
of
didn't
that
realize
more
it out
Saturday
loud
morning
nearly as
cartoon
much.
feel of
But that's one
Fallout
thing I
3
did
was a
like
deliberate
is
counterreaction
how
to
do I
Fallout
approach
2's
every
dated and
situation? Do I
aggressive
approach my
grit.
strengths? Do I
By
approach to my
strategically
combat?
replacing
So
some
on
of
and
the
so
horny
forth.
stuff with sexless goofs, Fallout 3's world became more tonally aligned
And I became
with the
very, very
1950s media from which its inspiration sprang. It
pacifist
distinguished
throughout my
itself
run,
more
honestly. I almost had a
from
full
the morass
pacifist
of
run.
dated genre-specific
I
sexism
remember the only
that's
reason I
been around
didn't
for
get a
decades, but
pacifist
can be seen
run
with crystal
trophy
clarity in old
was
trash
because
like 1988's
apparently something
The
exploded and
Sisterhood.
killed somebody.
The
And I'm like,
themes
well,
aren't
I
the
didn't
failure
kill
here in
them, so
Fallout
that doesn't
2,
count,
the
but it totally
execution
counts
is.
still. No one
Consider
can die
Mad
in your
Max
watch.
Fury Road, one of the all-time best pieces of post-apocalyptic media ever created, also showed a world of slavery and exploitation, women held in sexual thrall by gross and self-important warlords.
But I had already saved at that
It
time
just
too,
didn't
so I was like,
present
oops.
those things as things where the
Yeah,
audience
they blew
shared
themselves
in the
up. That wasn't
degradation.
even
It
on
didn't add
me.
sensationalism to those
They got
elements.
themselves.
The movie constructed those themes instead through the lens of world and character. It presented those elements in ways that are narratively harmonious and contribute to the complexity instead of taking that complexity away. Fallout 3 isn't entirely without sexuality. There's sex workers in the very first town, but even that inclusion is as cartoonish as everything else. By the time we get to Fallout 4, a balance has been found. In Fallout 4, sexual absurdism takes the wheel, and we're at a point where a player is able to seduce a ghoul in a tricorn hat and make him your boyfriend. Sexuality, and especially
great.
sexual absurdism, is very important to the personality and character of the Fallout franchise. Fallout 2 just fumbles the whole thing over and over by reducing that sexuality to transactionalism and negativity. It is a narrow view of sexuality, whereas the role of sexuality in the post-apocalyptic world is much more akin to something Danny DeVito said on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Drinking wine from a can, he opines, quote, I don't know how many years on this earth I got left. I'm gonna get real weird with it. Which is a point of view that's guaranteed to take a work to more creatively rewarding places than telling the player they're not pretty enough to be a porn star, but there's still a way they can make a quick $15. The odd thing about this is that Fallout 2 seems to understand the importance of absurdism in most every other way. There's a lot of shit in Fallout 2 that's completely goofy, absurd, and ridiculous, but nearly all of that kind of joking is directed towards the idea that the worst has already happened, that with the apocalypse comfortably in the rearview mirror, the world's standards for what is and isn't possible can relax a little bit. It's what makes Vault City so loathsome and the NCR such a frustrating organization.
That's actually a
in
good
Vegas,
point.
that these
It
new
feels like it's really on the
societies are
10,
doing their
obviously,
best to
but
normalize
I mean, that's a
and
really
put
good
limits
point of
on
like, well,
possibilities
things have
that the
already
clean slate
happened.
of the wasteland
What's
offered.
left?
And in that civilizing and homogenizing
It's time to
action,
fuck around and find
the
out.
wasteland will lose its beauty and its pull. Already this has happened. 80 years ago, the wasteland of Fallout 1 was more wild, more cruel, more free. The age of total possibility is already over in the Fallout universe. The age of the frontier has arrived. Once the frontier passes, even the post-apocalypse will be over. It will simply be another era. One particular town in Fallout 2 represents this tension between freedom and absurdism and the narrow viewpoints of earlier eras. Broken Hills. The town is led by a super mutant named Marcus. Now, in Fallout 1, it was established that some few select super mutants were affable or decent conversationalists. Fallout 2 goes much further, showing that some super mutants simply reacclimated to wasteland life and set out to lead regular, quiet existences.
Okay, so
If
it is
this
eight.
seems like
Okay,
a
so if one was catch up
pro-social
on it, like
version of
mentally, it was like, okay, so this is
Metropolis,
80
you're
years
kind of right.
after
There's
Fallout
an old
1.
rules home
So there's
where
really
some
like
even remember
effectively
Seth from
no
Metropolis,
link
but
between
don't
your
really have
previous
very
character
many
and
kind
this
of things
character
to say
as
about it.
well.
Like Gecko,
Marcus, oh
radiation
no.
isn't much of a danger
Fan
to
favorite
humans and
character
mutants,
popped onto
so
the screen.
uranium extraction and refining is the foundation of the town's economy.
I will say
The
that,
problem with
assuming
Broken
that was a
Hills
super
is
ghoul,
racism.
looked
The
very,
ringleader
very
of the
polite.
racist won't even reveal himself to you unless he thinks you're a racist too.
That's-
Ask him how things are in town, and he'll ask you in turn what you think of the mutants. And if you answer in the positive, he'll just say, you'll like it here, and never ask for help with the crimes and murders he's got cooking up. All smiles. Racism never changes either, I suppose.
Michael doing Warf.
Broken Hills quest puts a finger on the scale of both sides are bad a bit with its main quest, wherein another mutant
That's
named
actually
Francis
really
kills a
cool.
whole bunch of the
They
racist
really have a
agitators
lot of
because he doesn't think
stars,
Marcus
it feels
will
like,
do
in the
anything
voice
about
acting
them
for
as
between the
mayor
first
or
and second
sheriff.
game.
If you aren't
Is
inclined
the
to have
the
Francis face
grandchild of the
punishment
Fallout
for this,
attack.
you can advise him to skip
Okay,
town ahead
okay.
of telling Marcus. But even in the space of the 2 hours or so it takes to complete Broken Hills, Fallout 2 is suggesting that a government that won't acknowledge racial strife ends up contributing to it accidentally. Marcus had a different experience. He founded the town alongside a Brotherhood of Steel paladin. They fought at first, but ended up laughing it off and becoming
Yeah,
friends.
his voice
when
acting
neither
is
could
in a
get the upper
completely
hand.
weird area.
The vision that
Voiced
Marcus
by
had
I
was
Am
one where
Weasel.
that tussle could have meant anybody, putting aside the old differences, embracing the new commonalities. But it's doomed. People just won't let go of their prejudices. Even if
There's
you
no
achieve the best
fucking
ending,
way.
the uranium runs out, and the town, like all desert boom towns, just dries up and blows away. Marcus will travel with you for a time if you solve the town's immediate concerns. Even he senses collapse in the air. There's a lot of stuff in Broken Hills that's just a dumb joke, also. There's a scientist with a
Oh
talking
my
plant
God.
and a very smart scorpion. Francis the mutant will arm wrestle you,
Oh
and if
my
you lose, you have
God.
to sexually submit to him, getting a ball gag as a memento. This is vaguely a Pulp Fiction reference.
Today I
guess.
learned.
It's half-assed and it's messy. There's
That's
a hidden
crazy.
hidden
What
pulp
the
adventure
fuck?
hero who's been asleep for hundreds of years. The biggest, longest joke is where a fella at the old Ghouls home asks you for a series of good time
I would
items
say I'm
like a blow-up
floored, but
doll
I'm
and
just
a
kind
particular
of really
brand of
slumped
bad
down in
liquor.
my chair
If you consent to
and
this
just
frivolous
complete
scavenger hunt,
disbelief.
he reveals
I had to pull the mic
treasure.
closer down
You
to
can lower
me,
a treasure hunter down a
'cause I'm
rope
so
to get
far
at it,
down.
and you receive 10,000 bottle caps. A fortune. 80 years ago.
10K.
The hub is gone. That era is gone. And now a gold coin standard, guaranteed by the NCR
And I'm
economy,
back.
is the common currency of the land. Bottle caps are back to being trash. Joke's on you, primarily, and the treasure hunter you leave in the well. This bit comedy exists uncomfortably side by side with the serious and sometimes violent racial tensions that make up the other town quests in Broken Hills. This is Fallout 2's main tonal failing, a whiplash between having a lot to say and saying nothing by farting into a woodwind instrument. At worst, it feels like an episode of Cop Rock. At best, the two styles do well enough on their own, but fail to blend. When people look back and lament that Bethesda brought their own house style to the writing and tonality of the game universe in Fallout, it's easy to wallpaper over how even the classic Fallout style didn't get it right 100% of the time.
Oh,
The
yeah,
vast,
definitely
vast
have
majority
no
of Fallout
thought
2
about
is
it
amazing
actually
and
being
amazingly
right at all
complex,
100% of the
but
time.
it's perhaps mistaken to hold it up as a template from which nothing could be improved. The only completely consistent game in the Fallout franchise is Fallout 1, and Fallout 1 is genuinely broken in a couple of places. It's just that the broken parts don't matter in the face of how imaginatively evocative Fallout 1 and its game world are. It's easy to forgive because the player is also the author of their own impression of these worlds. What they look like from a non-isometric view, or what they sound like, or what they smell like. That's all imagination. The early games, with their text
Lack of-
descriptions and condensed
yeah, I was
world
gonna say,
design,
lack of,
don't create a world that's simulational, a one-to-one representation.
lack of
They
graphic
create
and
a
design,
multimedia
and the less you
impression
see,
wherein
as
the
for
player,
more
or
imagination in the
reader, or
game.
viewer uses the ideas
huge believer
suggested
of
by the
that.
mechanics and artwork to picture the greater whole. This is the foundation for all tabletop role-playing. It's the reason why movie versions of
Theater of
books
the
always
mind and
feel a
all
little
that.
weird, because we construct our imaginative versions of things independently from the original work, and it's always more personal to us than the one-to-one
Of course,
representation.
there's
or
always some
more
dangers in
visual
that
or
too,
three-dimensional adaptation
about
of
how
the
people
story.
imagine folks
It's
and certain
easy to
things,
say
and depending
that
on the
first two
situation and
games were the
whatnot.
best, most perfect
But that's a
ones
completely
because
different
the
subject.
difference in design between 1997 and 2023 is such an immensely vast gulf, but it's worth keeping in mind what's being compared. Are the modern Fallout games worse as games, or are they simply unable to achieve with representational art what the first two games were so good at creating with imaginative suggestion? Game design is extremely complicated, not just as a technical process of coding and development, but flatly and simply as a multimedia art form. It falls among and between so many other disciplines and approaches that simply making a bigger, more modern experience shifts the kind of art that a given game is, the way an audience is able and willing to engage with it. Growing up with books, seeing the game as an extension of a format where visuals aren't important at all, Fallout 2's world feels enormous
True.
and engaging,
Books
full
kind
of
of,
possibility. It's interesting
were a
to
big
read
thing, at
reviews
least
of
in the
players who have
90s.
grown up instead with modern AAA titles where visuals are extremely important. These players tend to see what's right in front of them, and they are not always impressed with what you see in Fallout 2. It's not just the graphics, it's the idea that what you're seeing is suggestive of a broader world and not a literal representation of it. If you see Fallout 2's world as ending at the borders of the town map, if you aren't primed to do the imaginative heavy lifting yourself, it becomes, conversely, easy to disregard the original games as not being nearly as engaging or immersive as the modern titles. because
Wish I
they
had a
lack that
limit break. Oh
simulational
my
sense of
God.
reality that an open-world FPS format can provide. If you ignore the parts of the game that require imaginative participation and simply look at Fallout 2 as a collection of its available quests and opportunities, some parts can feel both strange and slight. Fallout 2's late game is honestly its most disappointing part. For all it's been built up to be, the NCR as a questing hub isn't as dense or as complex as New Reno and lacks the satirical bite of Vault City. It's got plenty enough to do and see and feels like a major stop. I mean, there's cattle drives to go on and hostage situations to negotiate and some slavers to murder. What's more interesting about the New California Republic is the sensation of following in your own footsteps in a place that's
Right?
both
When it comes to all the
familiar and
older
unfamiliar.
cartoons, I think
Down in the Civic
those
Plaza outside
Cow and
NCR's
Chicken
Congress
slash
is a
Iron
statue
Weasel,
of
because they
your
were kind of
character from
combined
the
in one
first
package
game.
for a little while,
Without you,
are the ones
player,
I think
none
about
of
the
this would have been
least,
possible.
honestly.
What makes that so fun
Around
and
that era of
complicated is that
Cartoon
not all of it is
Fridays.
good or agreeable. Without you, the player, the NCR never would
Like
have
Dexter
become
Lab
the
still
expansion's
is rent-free in
power,
my head.
dictating the rhythm
Johnny
of life
Bravo
in the
still is
wasteland
rent-free in my
that is.
head.
The whole nation of the New California Republic is an accidental consequence of
I don't know, I think of Cow and
side
Chicken, I was like,
That's something special.
I remember,
In a
I can
passive
remember
medium,
it, I
like
just don't
films or
really
books,
think
the
about it
basic theme
ever.
can still come through
I don't know if it
about
was,
small actions
I don't know if
having
it was
massive
necessarily good or bad or
consequences, but
not.
it's
I
that
can't remember anything about
participatory
it.
element that really makes
So
it
I'm right there with
impactful
you. I
if
just
you're in
don't
Fallout
think
1
about
and
those
2.
tunes, like,
Not
ever.
just an accident of history or some other character. This whole thing is more or less your fault. The NCR isn't the worst civilization out there, but it is the least imaginative. They seek to return to the dimensions of old American life and all the petty squabbling over
Courage
land
is
and
one I
resources
haven't
that
actually
represents.
watched all that much
Now
of,
in her
like,
90s, Tandy
consistently.
is still president of the NCR.
When I've seen an
you go to
episode,
town.
I've watched the episode,
She
and it
looks
stuck
more
with me.
and
But
tired.
I've never
It's through
really
her
sat down
story
like ate
that
with
you
it
can see the
consistently
ambition
and
and
watched it
triumph
every
of
time
the
it showed
NCR.
up. So
Tandy
it's kind of
grew
a
up in
little
what's
bit of a.
essentially a feudal
I know all the
hamlet.
major
Through her
episodes,
capture and
but I've
rescue,
just
she
never
came to feel
really
strongly
like
about law and
sat and
order.
watched it
Everything
as
she's
as
built is based
religiously
off
as
of
I
her
did with
desire
like
to
Ed,
better
Ed and
herself,
Eddie and
her
Dexter's Lab and
surroundings, to try
whatnot.
and reclaim
Also,
the
what's up, a
past
tasty sub?
for
How
her
you
own
doing?
and replicate
Yeah,
its
King
gone-away securities.
Ramses.
Tandy is sympathetic, a line of connection from one game to another, one player character to another, one era of the post-apocalypse to another. Tandy asks you to clear out the squatters in Vault 15 so the NCR can claim it as part of their historical heritage.
Sorry, when
The
he said
squatters are cover for
we need to clear up the squatters in Vault 15, and the first thing I see is the bench press right there. I was like, oh man, hates those leg day motherfuckers. Get him out of here so I can have the squat rack. It's my turn on the squat rack. Oh, sorry. I saw that. My brain went very elsewhere.
Party who have cleared some of the rubble and restored some of the vault. It's a fine dungeon crawl, turning the last game's lowest level dungeon into one of the highest level ones of the sequel.
Yeah, even, like there were a lot of great cartoons when it came to Cartoon Network.
The same goes for the
It was
recontextualization of Vault
absolutely
13.
banger after banger
It's full
for
of
a
talking
huge portion of
death
the
claws,
time.
Runaway experimental subjects from the Enclave.
They really
You'll find
laid
the
in and found some of the
room on
best of the
level
best
3,
out
the
there.
Same one where the water thief crept around in Fallout 1. But once you take it, you'll start
This is the
game's
powerlifting
only
vault.
countdown. You have 2 weeks
Love
to
that
kill the
powerlifting
scientist
vault.
in
I
charge
wanna
of
be
the
in
Talking
there.
Death Claw program at the Navarro base, or else the Enclave comes and kills all of the Death Claws. This is so poorly communicated that I didn't even know there was a good epilogue slide, that there was more than one ending possible for Vault 13 in Fallout 2. Finding Vault 13 again is a climactic, exciting moment, but
Yeah,
the Talking
Powerpuff
Death
Girls
Claws
is
are
very,
deliberate
very huge, rent-free,
anticlimax stapled
living in
on
the head.
top, a surprise for the sake of having a
And
surprise.
it's still really, really
Canonically, it's agreed that the Talking
relatable
Death
in a
Claw
lot of
thing
ways. And it's
creates
just funny
some
to think
weird
about the show
continuity and
in
tone
adult
issues.
context
And so
as
the
well.
Enclave killing them all is probably
Because you
best
just
for
realize
the
how
setting.
really
Except
funny the
for
villains
Boris,
are,
a
actually.
Deathclaw scholar companion who wears these big robes when he's adventuring with you. Kinda neat.
Back at
No
work for
real
a long
impact.
holiday weekend. Oh,
This is
not
the
back at work,
disadvantage
though.
of the decentralized regional approach to Fallout 2's
That's me. I'm
questing.
going to be me tomorrow.
It isn't
That's
in
just,
such an
just me
order that
Monday.
it reaches an actual apex.
That's how I feel,
It
yeah.
reaches a satisfyingly holistic sense of context instead. And when things
Well,
fall
hopefully things are
outside the
going
scope
well, and
of that
hopefully your past
connectivity,
week of
they tend to
time
fall
off
flat.
has
And
treated
even
you
the
well.
holistic sense tapers
Yeah,
off.
I was an
The
accident
last city,
too.
San Francisco's Neo-Chinatown has no impact on any other city's end
They-
slides or politics, and its own factional
fucking
conflict is
masterful
broken
work.
and simplified, much like the Boneyard in the last game. You have on one side the Shi, descendants
That
of
was-
a crew
that was
aboard a
Genji,
Chinese
right? Genji
nuclear
Tartakovsky.
submarine that became stranded after the war, who have now created a kind of scientific utopian community. And on the other side, you have the Hubologists, a Scientology parody, complete with a Tom Cruise and Nicole
No, that's Craig
Kidman
McCracken.
stand-in.
I get the two mixed up. I
They're
don't know
trying
why.
to fuel and repair a
That's
space
Craig
shuttle that will
McCracken.
take them to
Okay,
their
I had to look it
destiny
up.
among the stars. That part
Big in the
is
Sheep City. I
intriguing,
forgot
which
about
is
Sheep in the
why,
Big
by
City.
Murphy's Law,
I
it
actually
must be the
forgot
broken
about
part.
that
Without
entirely.
that aspect
Oh my
of
god,
going
that
to the
existed.
stars, the Hubologists are
Oh
just
my
an
days.
exceptionally cartoonish and broad caricature of Scientology. Which is
Yeah,
a
no,
fine and
you're
good
right.
thing to
That
make
was
fun
that's
of in
often
general,
forgotten.
because
I forgot
Scientology
about
is
Sheep
stupid
in
and
the Big
hurts people.
City.
But it doesn't
I can't
really
remember
work
anything
as an
about it, but I
extended
now
riff in a
remember it. I'm
post-apocalyptic
like,
video
oh,
game
holy
based on
shit.
Cold War
Maybe I start
culture.
watching that again.
The
I'll be
Shi
like,
are
oh, I
fine,
remember a few
guess,
things
but
here
they
and
aren't in
there.
any kind of thematic or narrative tension with
I'm a
the
big
Hubologists.
Sheep in the
It's
Big
like
City
pitting the good
remember.
guys from a
Apparently
Rutger Hauer
Sideshow is as
sci-fi
well.
movie
Also,
against
what's up,
the bad guys
Sideshow?
in a
What's up,
deadly
Amber?
story
How you
comedy.
both doing?
There's no rule to say you can't, but there's no point to saying you can either. Then there's this martial arts movie thing where you fight either a good guy who's good or a guy who's evil. Like, literally, they say that. I'm the good guy. Boy, do I sure love being evil. It's annoying when this happens to the writing in Fallout 3, but it's inaccurate to say that
There's a
Fallout 3
specific
has a
epitome of the
monopoly
sentence before they
on
got told to
poorly
remove it,
written but
yeah.
foolishly binary dialogue and quests. It happens
You
here in the
told her to remove
classics as well, and it's equally annoying.
Yeah, they just end up
because
keeping
so
them in.
much
It's
of
just
the
like,
rest of
well,
either Fallout
here
1
we
or
are.
Fallout 2
And it gave a
knows
lot of
better,
stuff for adults
does
who
better.
were being forced to watch
Irritation
shows that
comes
they were
from a
watching with
sense
their
of
kids.
potential,
Gave them
not
lots
just
to
being
like laugh
missed,
at as
but
well.
not even being striven towards.
So I think we've talked about it
Fallout 2
before.
San Francisco might
but
have more quests and interactivity
my
than the Boneyard.
parents'
did, but it
favorite
makes much
episode
less
of
sense,
the
feels
Tiny
much less
Toons
cohesive, and straddles
the,
the border between 90s flippancy and
Plucky
casual
Duck
racism
episode
in
where
some
he's
of the
like just
floating
putting stuff
dialogue
down
and
in the
character
toilet
accents.
and just said, blank,
It
go down the
is
hole.
Not a great way to wrap up the game.
That's wild and
It's just a
sheep.
flat-out mess. All it truly serves to do is funnel. It's a
Dozens of us.
disconnection from the larger game
Dozens.
world. Readies a person for the linear slog of the climax, not too far away now at all. The Enclave is not just the final villain of Fallout 2, they're the main villain of Fallout 3 as well. And
Ooh.
honestly, they fit better into Bethesda's conception of the Fallout universe than they do into the classic one. Although the Enclave are foreshadowed the way the Master and his mutants were in the previous game, the Enclave don't have the same kind of pulp appeal. The Enclave are coming back to take complete
like
authoritarian
Fallout 2,
control
vice
over
versa.
the wasteland and the
In terms
world.
of like the ending and stuff
They
like
needed
that.
both
Like,
the Vault 13 inhabitants and your
I guess
village's
the
inhabitants
baddies,
as
I
genetic
should say.
samples to re-engineer the FEV virus. Instead of creating mutants, it will be fatal to all deviations from pre-war genetic humans, including every human not part of the Enclave or a certified Vault-Tec program. The idea is sort of a distillation of any authoritarian supremacist movement. Exterminate difference, reap the profits, take over the world. They insist that what makes a person human is a lost, nostalgic idea of an untainted genetic code. They use a small genetic difference to justify exterminating every single civilization that you've encountered, good or bad, strong or weak, large or small, because these things are of the New World. And the New World, as you've seen all game long, cannot be controlled. It flourishes as both weeds and flowers, chaotic and wild across the wasteland.
From what we talked about
The only
earlier,
way
Fallout
for
3
any
is made
single
by
entity to establish
Bethesda.
control is to poison the whole garden. It is the exact opposite of the Master's plan in Fallout 1. The mutant unification scheme was about embracing the New World, creating a race of mutants who would no longer scheme and struggle, but be able to live in the wasteland free and easy, united. It was a foolish and destructive plan, but it was also utopian. The Enclave plan is one that rejects the New World to such a degree that it would rather commit a second Armageddon than suffer the potential that you couldn't tell man from mutant. It is a satirical extreme of many different strains of fearful reactionary response. Denial of not only present reality, but the legitimacy of any future reality that isn't strictly defined by past values and prejudice. In this way, the Enclave would have done better by being more present within the game world as an antagonistic force. Hidden in the shadows, the threat against the wasteland is defined only in terms of a kind of standard save the world big hero ending.
I'm getting the
How
vibe
the
right. It sounds like
Enclave
it's
fit
kind of
into
show up
many
as the
other
end
schemes
to like just
control the
a
wasteland
press
and the other
button to
political
make this
structures
happen.
Illustrated in the wasteland communities isn't so much articulated. The Enclave hide.
I
They
got
do
New
some
Vegas.
shadowy stuff. They quietly prepare to kill
I have
everyone.
to actually look at
Their
this now.
isolationism makes
New
sense,
Vegas
but it
is
contributes
right
poorly
here.
to the
Okay.
dramatic structure of the game.
And then
In this way,
all
I
the rest of
actually prefer
Fallouts.
them in Fallout 3 to Fallout 2.
It seems like New
Fallout 3
Vegas is pretty much
doesn't
like
need or
the
want a
default
complicated villain,
best
and the Enclave is
3D.
not one. The way that they invade the wasteland and casually raise the difficulty of random encounters makes them feel like more of an actual threat in Bethesda's later game.
Oh,
I like the
interesting.
ending of Fallout 2 well enough, but as I've hopefully illustrated, it isn't much of an apex to the actual activities that you do within the game or the themes that you accomplish. All that's handled within the epilogue slides.
I've heard
The
negative
shame
things about
here is that
76.
Fallout
I
1
don't
was
know much
perfectly
about
unified
4,
from start to finish
honestly.
through its thematic lenses. In Fallout 1, through experience, you become someone new and different. You become part of the world by interacting with it, and the world's influence follows you where you go. In some ways, the end of Fallout 2 is an echo of this. The Enclave's genocidal scheme is a rejection of the very idea that the world can move on into a post-American era, a refusal to allow anyone to be changed by experience, an attempt to punish that which cannot be controlled. While the Enclave is foreshadowed as a
Just
villain
like
with
Fallout
big
26,
armors
and
and flying
then they
windbirds,
did like
the
it, and
narrative
they
and
didn't
thematic
like
weight
it.
of the
And
moment receives no real foreshadowing at all.
I mean, I'm sure it'll make more sense when I actually get there, because I can't really say the reasons why people like 70, dislike 76.
Killing them with the FEV virus, or else you just set off a bomb on a timer like you did at the last game. Fallout 2's climactic boss fight
Yeah, I
is
was gonna say,
either
most of it
easy or outrageously hard, depending
Seems
on
to
your
be
choices.
around
If
the
you
game
kill the president
was
and take
released
his passkey, you can change the
it was
allegiance of the
released
turrets in the last battle.
unfinished.
If you go without the passkey, then the threat rate against you is tremendous. All those Gatling cannons can just tear you apart with a good critical hit, even one. One way, the fight is too hard. Another way, the fight is basically non-existent. The turrets just do the work for you. But
He's
the way to
fine.
essentially skip the fight isn't tied to a grand climactic speech success like the Master's Cathedral in the first game. It too is disconnected from the whole. So, in the end, you get a surprisingly typical video game ending. Bad guy gives a spiteful speech, there's a countdown, then a big explosion, then a warm and fuzzy feeling for having completed the game. That's not what I really cared about.
Where's the rest of them?
side.
It says, release the
Fallout 2's
unreleased
complexity and
files.
variety of epilogue variations is only matched by its direct sequel, Fallout New Vegas. No other games in the franchise even come close to those two.
Say, like,
Some
yeah, dirt
things
cheap
don't
enough.
matter
It's
at all
consistent
in
with fuck
Fallout
around
2,
in a
what
Fallout
you
7
did
game.
in time
Okay.
or how you did
So
it,
it seems
if
like it
you
just got
revisited the
there.
military
Like, a lot
base
of
from
games
the
that have
first
been
game,
released
you did
recently,
dungeons over
it just
again, or if you
eventually
skipped it
got
entirely.
there.
These are
It also has
exceptions.
plot. Oh,
For the
it
most
was that
part,
bad upon
every
release.
single major
Oh.
conflict is given a satisfying
Oh.
resolution. And a number of minor things, like whether you correctly solved the murder of the Wright family's favored son in New Reno. The complexity of the ending slide variations illuminates the complexity of the experience that you just went through, how vast the world really was, how much influence and impact you had with it through your journey. It's a chance to not only tie off all the major threads neatly, the entire endeavor of creating personalized epilogues like this is to reward investment. The harder you worked as a player, the more you
I
adventured,
do like epilogue
the more the
slides a
wasteland
lot.
changes
Effective
by your
on if
passing.
you've completed
The
or done certain
ideal is
things.
to create hypotheticals where all player choices have their own personal canon, but the practical need for a sequel to pick and choose broad outcomes.
Oh, so it's a
means
recent
that
pickup for
only
you,
some
and it
of the
seems to be
possible
good so
endings are
far. And
referenced going forward in
it seems like
Fallout
it's an
New
$8
Vegas.
worthwhile.
It's where Fallout 2 leaves off tonally that's the most important. With the Enclave shattered, the old America is at last dead and dispersed, but the face of the new America is the NCR, and that difference is really kind of minimal. The Enclave was the last remnant of the terminal endpoint of American expansionism, whereas the NCR has reset
So it's
the process
still
over to the beginning.
It's still
so that
part of the
history can
Bethesda
repeat
feeling
itself
games
blissful
in terms of
ignorance.
gameplay.
Fallout 1's
Maybe
epilogue
not
was
necessarily
the
in
end of the
story or
wasteland
how the
phase
release
of
went or anything like
post-apocalypse.
that, though.
Fallout 2 picks up deep in the frontier phase, and by the time the player is done picking the good pro-social options available to them, the frontier closes as well. By the end of Fallout 2,
okay.
California is civilized again, so it pushes eastward into the parts of the country that are still frontier, and that's where Fallout New Vegas picks up, as empires vie for the right to paint their vision on the blank canvas that the nuclear Armageddon left behind. The line of narrative progression and escalation from Fallout 1 to 2 to New Vegas is remarkably consistent and clear. They tell a truly interconnected story, each iteration building on not only the lore that came before, but the consequences, including, and especially, negative consequences beyond the player's direct control, like what happens with Redding or Gecko. The approaches of the first two Fallout
so they
games, as contrasting as they can
built
be,
out the world
cumulatively
almost in
inform New
response.
Vegas and create between the three of them what's understood as the classic
To start
Fallout
building out that
aesthetic
story a
and
little bit more, I
experience.
guess.
This is most often contrasted with
Is that what?
Bethesda's
Am I understanding that
stewardship of the
correctly?
franchise beginning
I do
with Fallout
apologize,
3.
Amber. I'm trying.
But the thing about Fallout is that there are
I'm
hardly
just very new to all
two
this as
approaches.
well.
The two contrasting styles.
sounds like they
of
introduced
Obsidian and
NPCs.
Bethesda simply create such a large gulf between them that an entire middle era of Fallout games often
people-
falls
first
through the
fact,
crack
first
between
fact.
them and disappears completely.
Speaking of people who will take
First
jobs
two
in that
games
case.
are often packaged as a collection of classic
Okay.
Fallouts, along with a third.
Yeah, I'm like, that seems like the closing part here. So that's it. We're at the chapter of Fallout Tactics. And I think the next time we do watch this, we'll watch the Fallout Tactics section, which is like, 30 minutes? Fallout Van Buren, because we were talking about, people were bringing that up, and so I'm very, very curious. And then Brotherhood of Steel, and that'd be another hour-ish of time as well whenever we pick that up again. And then we hit Fallout 3, and all of its apparently DLC stuff as well, which then gives that like another like an hour 20 minutes, it looks like. So yeah. I'm turning on some more music because you can't stop me. Because I know there's probably some things I'm going to end up asking questions about, so I might as well turn on the music this time instead of just sitting in abject silence. Yeah, New Vegas is built to some degree off the notes of the Interplays Fallout 3. That was codenamed Van Buren. Okay, yeah, I do remember talking about that during the first section of the video, the first time we were watching through part of it. Fallout Texas is so fucking hard. Is it really? I feel like I heard the same thing, ironically, about another game that went tactics style to what felt like everyone's surprise with Suikoden Tactics. And I feel like I remember hearing people saying that was really hard. It seems like, and like Wild Arms also had its tactics game, and that seemed pretty rough on the buns. Wiping with sandpaper just was not an enjoyable experience. I assume Fallout Tactics was good, though, on the other hand. Or something more nukes in FO66 than were in the US in their entire peak. God. Nukes make the story happen. The Black Isle side of things, arguably New Vegas is as well. Okay, interesting. But yeah, I think after like the next time it'll be all Bethesda afterwards. So I think that'll be the remainder of the pre-Bethesda stuff. Just kind of looking back at the video here because yeah, what was it again? It was Tactics, the Van Buren, and then the Brotherhood of Steel, which I know nothing about this one yet. Like it has not come up in like I don't think any conversation at this point. And then we get into Fallout 3, which then is Bethesda from there. Okay, so based on the first year of 76, the players and an unseen overseer are the only humans. Oh, okay. Everyone else here fucked off. I got turned into weird hive mags, weird ghosts. Okay, it's called the Scorched. After a statewide journey, I forgot how to get really scorched in their origins. These big fuck off mutant bats called Scorch Beasts. Scorch Beasts. That's kind of badass though. Kind of interesting. This one RPG like Fallout 2 is called Underrail, and it's great. I'm hearing the words Underrail, and I can't put anything to ever hearing about Underrail. So So I assume like it was very much like it's not an actual, not made by Fallout makers of any sort. It's just its own beast, paying homage to it. And is that more of a recent game or not? Undertale? Imagine Fallout just saying like, no, we can do the story better, and they just make Undertale instead. Oh god. You make me laugh and smile, Side Joe. The only NPCs then are robots. Oh, okay, gotcha. That's interesting. It's actually seems like an interesting idea on paper. It seems really, really rough in execution, because the idea feels nice to have this world that the players are heavily the only living things in the area, and it makes, now that I actually know a little bit more about Fallout, like that makes sense as well, because it kind of goes back to that first Fallout game where the second one was Frontier, the first one was Discovery, or whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the actual name that was used in the video, but yeah, that kind of energy in there where it's like, yeah, this is like the first part of it all over again, where things are just kind of existing or come into existence. It was nuke them, hence nuke mechanics in that game. Makes sense that people, NPCs come back in the second year to re-inhabit the area, but a boss force turns up in the third year. I don't know what story beats happen from there. Okay, so they're consistently updating the story as well. I don't know if necessarily the player base has anything to do with how the story progresses, mind you, but it does sound like it, at the very least, they are playing with the idea of like, okay, here's what would happen in the world based on our previous story beats. Also belatedly, what's up, media? How you doing? I keep saying media. I don't know if it's supposed to be media, medactyl, or whatnot. But you haven't said, you big Dumbo. You gotta say it like this. And it's great. This would be new happy because they could. I mean, 100%. I think it's been proven in MMORPGs of various calibers that if you allow the opportunity for someone to make a dumb choice that would ruin everything, someone would do it because they think it's funny. 100% of the time. There's going to be not even just one person, but a group of people, a significant group of people who are completely on board with making it bad for everybody. Between, well, I should say the best example being World of Warcraft. The whole virus thing that was killing everyone like instantly, that wasn't supposed to exist outside of a specific dungeon. And while there was a plan to get rid of it, no, people are not going to follow through with that. I've heard plenty of EVE Online stories. I watched a whole video about the Sims Online stories that were its own cavalcade of things that have happened, where people just like, yeah, look, I'm here to make life work for everyone. Yeah. Players in Mass, or even without Mass, are just jerks. They just want to say, it would be funny if I could, make this happen. Remember 30 minutes this time and actually learn something about it. That's also fair. Once again, it's teasing. Like, this is a little bit of an aside as well, but I want to thank you again for spending the time to help me learn how to play Gordian Quest. I have made it to the second act of the game. Now I'm significantly, well, not significantly, I would say, but I have made it to the second act of the game, and I would have not made it without the help I had. So once again, thank you, appreciate that. Only having 50s music. I mean, isn't that the era that they're really not paying homage to, but they're really pulling a lot of that mindset from? So I feel that makes sense. Slightly that race for the step on, we would have, exactly. It's true. It doesn't make it worse for everyone, though. It only makes it worse for us. That's a little different, I feel like. After all, I've done roguelites, but I appreciate it. Yeah. Once again, if you need a guide to get yourself started, you absolutely should do that. Maybe it's on that. Maybe it would be on that website that we mentioned earlier, the Before I Play. You can look on there. Oh, you were around for the Hackor incident? Corndan is actual gaming history, it turns out. Yeah, EVE seems to just have play. Just it wants you to goof. It 100% wants that to be a part of the game, and I appreciate it for what it is. That's it. I appreciate it for what it is. I'll never play it. I'll never do it. It can't be me. I can't do it. After Scorch, you remove Noose cause the Overseer gives a what the fuck hero speech about it. And Noose give a unique drops in the area and boosts the monsters so people keep doing it. It's a joke. Yeah, makes sense. Oh, you finished a run of Gordian Quest recently. Starting with you guys. Nice. Oh, Act 1 is like twice as long as any other. And I'm out here sitting like, oh boy, this first major quest in Act 2 is taking a while. And these enemies are kind of tough, to my surprise. They're kind of a little bit tough, honestly, which I appreciate a lot. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that a lot. But it also helps that there's not, like, a time limit either. So far. It might become one, but I haven't seen one yet. Spreadsheets are serious business. I love a spreadsheet on a day that ends in day mechanics. I'm so glad that there was someone behind me who was helping me come to grips with mechanics, because I would have bounced off very likely. I very likely would have bounced off. But now that I'm actually getting into it and I'm playing a little bit more, I know what I'm supposed to be looking at. I'm getting a hold for the controls, which is a huge problem for the Switch. For me, I'm like, real talk, that's a huge problem on the Switch. I know I'm supposed to be shilling for the Switch's release, but that is really, really hard. Like, the way I have to mechanically play this game is absolutely bonkers. And if the Switch did not have a touchscreen, I would say it's almost unforgivable. But because I can touchscreen certain aspects, I don't have to remember what I have to do to get my cursor to certain areas. I can just tap on screen to get a cursor to a certain area, so I get my certain set of contextual options, so that I can hit the A button once and then hit the Y button the second time to confirm my options. It's just so horribly inconsistent, and I don't know how they came to those solutions. But that's a different story. I appreciate you is all I was going to say there. Good fun. See, you can make this so unfun. You soft lock yourself. God. And it's easier playing smart. Good joke. That's funny. One more dude. So I got all the weird history. Yeah, I had a friend. Well, I have a friend who was around through a lot of like the early EverQuest days. And has a lot of stories from like stuff that happened on there and everything like that. That were like server-wide things that were going on. I'm like, that's actually pretty great to hear about. I like hearing about those old stories in MMORPGs. And I would like to see if anyone came up with like stories around the PSU era, because I think that's the only MMORPG I spent a lot of time in or around. That maybe I would have seen something that I didn't realize it was a big deal until I was reminded of it or something like that. Yeah, it smooths out when I get to the town, so I get to level up tokens and stuff like that, and I just even have a game plan. I think the biggest thing is, now I understand what my game plan looks like and what cards I want to aim for and how I want my team to kind of like mesh together and work together. Mind you, I'm not using any other characters. I'm using my straight up first 3 characters I got because they ended up working in a way that's very, very good, even though I did not intentionally mean it that way. It's just how it kind of happened. And once again, it's a game that very much wants you to play to that certain degree, so I do appreciate that a lot. But yeah, Gordian's Quest is a very, very cool game, but God, you need help to get yourself going, I feel like. Yeah. Just click the button. Nope. It was even worse when I was playing on stream, because it's like I can't click my screen either. I can't touch my screen, which solves some problems. But it's its own beast. It's honestly, it's entirely own beast, so I'm not going to hyper sweat it or anything like that. It is what it is. All right. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you. It's been a good... Oh, God, it's been 3 hours. That's crazy. It's been a good 3 hours. Oh, I'm not going to leave you hanging, though. I'm not going to leave you hanging, Amber. Like the whole isolate feeling 76. That makes sense. Like, if they did it... I didn't know if they did a good job or not, honestly, on that one, but it sounded desolate, but it sounds like they did a good job of that as well. And it reflects the story, so that does sound right. But yeah, recently dead. Things for the first human NPC is storytelling. Yeah, that also seems kind of hard, too. No storytelling characters as well. You just have to kind of vibe off the land and understand as best you can of what the heck's going on. That's hard to get people who have a faction in living world to impact. Yeah, which is fair, because it would still also be nice to have a response to something that you are literally doing, right? It would be nice that the game's just like, hey, yeah, you did this thing. Cool. We are reacting to the thing you did. Something is reacting to you, and that feels great. Ugh. All right. Let's see who's doing what today on twitch.tv.com. Well, you know what? Corn Dan's in here, and this came up, funnily enough, on Arcade Pit. Slyo answered a question about Mega Man Battle Network, network transmission, and I think I'm gonna send you all over there because it looks like he's spending more time playing those. Yo, Oni Bakaman, good to see you, fam. Hopefully you got to hang out as well and see some cool history about Fallouts. I'm gonna do one more thing before I run out of here. There we go. Oni Bakaman is always giving me shoutouts on his channel. It's finally my turn. It's finally my turn. If you like really good high-level Tekken play and you're an all-nighter, Oni Bakaman is like the ultimate all-nighter streamer who will just play Tekken for like 7 hours. Like sometimes I go to bed, I see him stream it, and I'll wake up early in the morning and he's still at it and has not stopped playing. But also does do things like speed runs of like, well, I should say speed runs, but you know, quick plays of like Parasite Eve and other games as well and everything. Spontaneous streaming schedule, but very, very chill place to be. So I very much enjoy hanging out with him. Friend from back from Colorado. So that's an easy follow, yeah. That'll be the perfect follow that sometimes you'll just wake up and there's just someone who's chilling and smoking. All right. No, I'm doing it. You can't stop me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? All right, so we're going to go over the Slyo stream over here. But once again, thank you all for hanging out. Greatly appreciate it as always. Much love as always. I'll be back again tomorrow. That'll be the finale of Death Bulge. So hopefully you pop in for that if you're looking forward to the end of it. And then we have one more stream until we hit Bad Game December. And that'll be on this Saturday. I've decided, I was originally saying I was not going to have a stream this Saturday. But since I know what game I want to, or I'm going to do first, I think it's enough time to have a shorter stream on Saturday before I have to go to another tournament event that day. So, you know, definitely look forward to that. Bad Game December begins soon. But that said, take care of yourselves. Have a good one. Stay cute as always. Be safe out there. Enjoy. I will do my best to enjoy. And until next time. Then I'm doing a peace sign at the camera, at you, at your soul. Peace, y'all. Take care.